This is the start of the second season.
It is episode 2, though.
Mm.
Who would have thunk it, eh?
The 25th episode.
Is it actually the 25th episode?
Well, we're doing 12 seasons, or 12 episodes a season. It's the start of the
Yeah.
Well, it's the start of the third season, really.
Yeah, because we're doing computer notation.
Yeah, so it's the second season, which means that we've done 2 seasons of 12. So this is the 25th episode, or the 2 doth.
How many years have we been doing this? We're up in the years count, aren't we?
Almost 2 years. I mean, we started trying to record just over 2 years ago. The end of 2014 was when we made our first attempts at recording, when you came down to visit and stuff.
2 years. Isn't that mental to think of? 2 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It really doesn't feel that long. It's insane.
It doesn't. No, it's gone by quite quickly.
And that means Artifexian, the YouTube channel, must be... How old is that? Must be 3, 4 years? No, it's not 4. It can't be 4.
It's not 4. No, you started it during 2014, I think. So I think it's just shy of 3 years.
I'm glad the way you know this and I don't.
Well, I just know because you started it when I was living in England.
Oh. Yeah, I started the year of graduation.
Yeah.
So, because I was bored after graduating college. Yeah. So, yeah, mid-2014. Wow, that's crazy. There you go. So you're looking forward to season 2? 3?
Yeah, season 2. The third season.
Are you looking forward to season 2?
I am. I look forward to all of Artifexian, Edgar.
Every single episode equally.
Of course.
What's called? Speaking of good stuff, we should do some thanking.
Okay.
I'm always one for thanking at the top of the show. We need to thank the World Building subreddit.
Yes.
Because they
definitely
upvoted the bejesus out of the last episode, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it got a really, really good reception over in the World Building sub. So thank you very much over there.
Yeah, so it was my most upvoted post to date.
That's nice.
Yeah, and by a factor, by about 100 votes, which is quite large. And given that it's a podcast, and podcasts are not very easily consumed, that was incredible. I did not expect that at all. I was thinking a couple of people might have a listen, but 300, something like 300 something votes, just mental stuff, absolutely mental stuff.
Yeah.
And we would have been right on top of the pile had it not been for some other post that did abnormally well. It had something like 800 upvotes, and I was like, grrr, the one time. No, but it's really cool, and lots of people are really supportive. So I can only assume we have some new listeners now, and possibly quite a lot of new listeners, because not everyone votes. So there's maybe 300 people who had 300 new people who had a listen, and possibly more. So I was thinking we should do a TLDR of the show, given that we've a new season and new listeners.
Okay.
For those people, and I think it's quite interesting to try and summarize a podcast, because podcasts are kind of meandering. So what would be your best crack? How would you describe the Artifexian podcast?
Edgar and Bill talk about world building and get sidetracked.
Yeah. that's...
Not all the time. We do a lot of world building, but we do a lot of getting sidetracked as well.
Yeah, I think I would describe it more as Edgar and Bill talk about stuff that world builders generally like, which may or may not include world building. So books and music, and then also a bit of world building, and then also any sort of current nerdiness that's going on and that sort of thing.
It's a podcast about world building and related topics, not necessarily in that order.
And licorice, although there's been very little licorice happening.
There's been very little licorice recently, that's true.
It's no bueno, total no bueno, but there you go.
How do you feel about flavoured licorice, Edgar? Cherry licorice and mint licorice?
I think it's an abomination.
Okay, cool. I'm glad I didn't buy you some that I saw before I went up to Dublin the last time.
No. I can consume any licorice. Actually, in fact, I can consume most things without any problem. But yeah, so welcome to the new listeners. And I hope you enjoy what we've lined up. I'm really excited about this episode. I think we got some really cool things coming up. I think
Yeah.
I think last episode we set a good precedent for how the show should go. Like this sort of like we challenge ourselves to do world building. And then every month we report back with some little element of our world done, and we talk about it. I think it's really good. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So anyway, do you want to crack into feedback proper?
Let's go straight into feedback. So the first thing is you told me to go away and listen to the Hello Internet review of Rogue One.
Yeah. Did you?
I did.
You did? I did not expect that. Okay, right. Well, no, because
Bill, he's not reliable.
No,
he doesn't
no,
do the things
no.
assigned to him.
That is entirely not true. It's more that you're not as big a podcast head as I am.
Yeah.
So okay, what did you think?
I had no like personal like strong aesthetic or emotional reactions to it in general. Like it was just I listened to some guys talking and that was fine. But I a lot of disagreements with their review.
Right. Okay.
For anyone who hasn't listened to it, I think it's probably safe to say at this stage, they didn't like Rogue One very much.
No, not at all, really.
Not at all. They liked it better than any of the prequel films.
Which that's a fairly low bar, but there you go.
That's a fairly low bar, but one that it did clear. Yeah, I don't know. I think they have a very different idea about stories and storytelling in some respects than I do. Okay, I'll just go through what I've written down here.
Yep.
They were talking about how they felt it didn't really work as a redemption story for Andor, who's the main, the kind of Black Ops Rebel Alliance guy. Diego Lucia, I think is the actor. He shot the guy at the start, and they found it really hard to kind of be on his side after that, and the film didn't really do enough to actually give him a redemption story. I don't think he needed a redemption story. I mean, he did an awful thing at the start because that's the reality of working in intelligence and working in the secretive world of espionage and stuff.
Yeah,
and I liked that was included in Star Wars, and I thought that was a new, different element.
Yeah, agreed. It's not. It kind of pushes the narrative away from what we expect science fantasy to be, and it's more gritty and real and more complex. So fully. I think that notion of the redemption story is like, that was my thought on that as well. It's like, but why do we need that? Can we not try for something else this time? Like we've had that a lot in lots of films. Let's do something different, So I disagree with that point as well.
And like how shocking it was that he shot the guy at the start. It was like, it was kind of shocking, but like that's life when you're a spy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I don't like this advocation of kind of like status quo sort of stuff. Like, that's not what we do in Star Wars. It's like, well, we can do other stuff in Star Wars. Like, we can have people, be grey. Like, they don't have to be the good guy and the bad guy. They can do terrible things, and we can choose to root for them or not. But a good work of art should always make someone think. And I think that makes you think about the Star Wars world more. Yeah.
And there would be a case to be made there if it was a main sequence film, I think. Like if it was an episode. But it's outside that system. It's deliberately, it's what they're calling them, Star Wars anthology films or something.
Yeah, they are, Agreed.
So it's outside that thing. So it ought to play with these ideas.
Exactly. It should be something different from the main series. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Second, I suppose kind of related to that actually, is they kept saying that the rebels weren't likable. And, on the same thing, that's fine. It shows a bit of more complication about it. It's, as you say, it's more grey or whatever. So I won't dwell on that one, because we've covered that. They complained that there was a lot of plot lines that were absolutely unnecessary, like going to Jeddah to get the pilot, or to find Forrest Whitaker, Saul Guerrero, whatever it's called. To find Saul Guerrero, to find the pilot, to do something else, to find her father, to get the Death Star plans. And they were saying, that could be broken down into like 3 stages rather than 5, which it is in the film. And I hate this approach for thinking about stories and thinking about storytelling, and I think it's particularly prevalent in films. Like, not everything has to be the most efficient way to tell the story. And while it has a place that, you don't want to waste time and you don't want to bog the audience down on unnecessary things, I think if everything is always focused on just telling the story the most efficient way, then it makes it unrealistic. Because real life doesn't work like that. Things get messy and there's more stuff to do. There's plots and you have to wait around and there's bureaucracy and there's people being awkward. And
Yeah.
so that didn't really hold up as a criticism for me.
Yeah, not at all. Again, it's this idea that, like, I find that the two of them wanted a Star Wars that is less real and less full of the complications of real life, and I just don't agree with that at all.
And this comes back to what I was saying before. I think we've discussed it about The Godfather. Remember we had this conversation?
I don't remember. I haven't seen The Godfather, any of them, so.
Oh, okay. Well,
Sorry.
I think maybe it came up when we were talking about the novel you're never going to write.
Okay.
Which is episode. Hold on. Just for the new listeners.
For the new listeners.
To understand this reference, please refer to episode, I'm going to guess 19.
Let's go with that one.
No, it was way before that. It was 16. Episode 16.
Episode 16.
Yeah, so like modern films, a lot of the stuff I've seen about advice for screenwriting is, just everything has to advance the plot, don't have anything unnecessary, make it really lean. The Godfather is considered one of the best films ever, and it's a marvelous movie, absolutely marvelous movie. And there's a scene in it where Marlon Brando plays with his grandson for a couple of minutes. It's got nothing to do with the plot. It's just old Italian dude playing with his grandson in an orchard. No, in an orange grove, and they peel some oranges and they playing chase around the yard and stuff.
I've a caveat to that statement though about like the advancing the plot thing. I would lean more towards the advancing the plot than to just filling it up with extra complications. The caveat being that if you want to put in like the Marlon Brando scene, that's fine as long as it doesn't suck the reader out or cause the reader to not be able to process the story. Now, Gray and Brady made the assertion that it did stop us from processing the story correctly, but I don't think that like holds up because most people really enjoy Rogue One and the reviews have been unilaterally great. So I think for most people, they could
not
still
unilaterally.
Oh, really? I've been anything I've read about it has just been like, this is amazing.
Well, Hello Internet didn't like it.
Well, yeah, that's. And
do you mean like from like actual movie critics?
Yeah. Just I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if they came from actual movie critics, but more like my reading on the internet. It just seems every review is very positive.
Right.
So it seems like everyone else was able to parse what was going on. I was able to parse what's going on. So therefore, all of their extra plot complications weren't an issue and just made the film seem more real.
Mm-hmm.
And you got anything else in the notes?
I enjoyed the thing about the communication technology. That was fun because we said that as well.
Yeah.
At the end, when they're broadcasting the plans, then you've broadcast a radio signal, so surely it could just be like picked up somewhere. Wait a month, go to hyperspace to somewhere it's a light month away from that planet, Space Dubai, and pick it up there. Although I guess if it's actually using some kind of where it's not just broadcasting an analog signal, where it's using some kind of protocol with a computer on board a ship in the fleet, then that doesn't really hold up. But that wasn't my reading of it.
Yeah, but also, like, the fantasy, like...
Yeah, I know.
Like, it doesn't snap you out. Like, it's a fun criticism to make, but it doesn't snap you out of it. You're not kind of like,
No,
I hate this
not at
movie
all.
because of, like, they don't understand how broadcasting technology works. It's like, no, it's a bit fun, like...
Oh, something I read, actually, after we recorded the episode about Rogue One. I'm going to make a very brief aside here for the new listeners, is that it's becoming a tradition that every year Edgar and I go and watch the new Star Wars film and record an episode about it.
Yup.
Just to contextualize that for anyone who's newly on board. After we recorded the last episode about Rogue One, I read that the reason they chose they designed the last planet where the Death Star plans are being held as they designed it was that there's only one theater of the Second World War that hadn't got an analog in the Star Wars films yet. And that was the Pacific. And I'd never made that connection that you've got the, like, Europe has been covered and North Africa has been covered by, like, Tatooine and stuff. And, there's obviously, like, stuff like the Eastern Front could be the second film.
Yeah.
You know, where they're in, is it Thoth?
Hoth.
Yeah, on the ice planet, yeah. And the thing that was, so everything was covered except the Pacific theater, you know, like Guadalcanal and stuff like that. So it's why they had it on, like, a tropical island.
Oh.
So it's actually meant to be, like, the Pacific rather than Dubai. But they still gave it a Burj Dubai, so in my head, it's always going to be Space Dubai.
Oh yeah, definitely. I thought their reasoning was just a lot more simple, as in we have covered all these terrains before. Let's have a new terrain. But I didn't realize they were linking it in with a war analog, with a World War analog. That's interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, I think the director said something to that effect.
That's really cool. I'm looking forward to The Last Jedi. The next movie.
Have you seen the stuff about the title?
The debate about whether or not it's plural.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the extent of what I know. Is it or is it not plural? That will have some sort of plot significance, and that's about all I know.
It's been answered. Whether or not it's plural.
And what is it?
And it's been answered in a very Artifexian appropriate way.
Okay. And that is?
They looked at it in other languages.
All right. Okay. Oh, so they looked at how it was translated in, like, French, say, or whatever,
or German, where I think it's Die letzten Jedi. So that's a plural article.
Okay. So we take it that there's numerous Jedi.
Yeah, it's like The Last Jedi, whereas Jedi is like the collective Jedi. It's not a single Jedi.
Any speculation then as to who this collective is? Is Luke training up a whole bunch of followers on an island just off Ireland?
Oh, that'd be cool. I suspect not. I suspect it'll be him and Rey and maybe Finn.
Oh, okay. Oh, as in they become the Last Jedi, plural.
Yeah. So that's what I guess, but who knows?
Finn become a Jedi?
Well, he wield a lightsaber even before Rey did.
He did. I hear. Answer me this, right? I'm confused about this. In the Star Wars universe, right? I thought in order to use a lightsaber, one had to be Force sensitive. Yeah.
Is General Grievous Force sensitive?
Well, yeah. He's isn't he? Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
As in, can a layperson turn on a lightsaber? I always thought that it was like there's like. I get the impression from the recent movie that, like, it just has a button and people can just turn it on, i.e. Finn. But I always thought that there was no button on a lightsaber. You just hold the thing and your force makes it, like, light up.
Yeah.
Which will
maybe they come in different varieties. Maybe some have buttons and maybe some require the human and the force element to complete the circuit or whatever.
Maybe it's a thing where it's like the technology has been dumbed down so everyone can use it. Like, originally it was like you need the force to do it, but they're like, oh, we came up with this clever solution and now everyone could have their own lightsaber.
Yeah. Guys, what if we added a button?
Genius. All right. So what?
And I've got one last point. Sorry.
Yep. Go for it.
Hello Internet. They didn't like Donnie Yen's character.
Explain who this is. I'm terrible with actor names.
Donnie Yen was the blind martial artist.
Oh yeah. That's just wrong.
Like, they thought it was kind of stupid. Where it's, I mean, like I see what you mean, but I mean, he's a martial arts character. Like, they're usually kind of stupid in martial arts films. And I mean, like, you're watching a film about, like, space samurai wizards. Like, what are you expecting from this? So that, that didn't really bother me. And then they were like, oh, he's so clearly like a force theme. Like, they should have just given him a lightsaber at the end and, like, admitted that he's basically a Jedi. But that would have spoiled it for me, because again, he added another element. He's like, there's more to the Star Wars universe than there is just these things. It's like, you've got people who have some kind of interaction with the Force without actually being Force sensitive or being Jedi or using lightsabers. Or you could look at it as like, well, you've got all this cool Force stuff, but you've also got badass martial artists.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And the speculation we had on our podcast about him, I think is testament to how good of a character he is. Because we spent ages speculating about like, was he a Jedi? Was he not? Is he like a member of a weird kind of cult that thinks they're Jedi, or are they trying to resurrect the old Jedi religion? Like, is he not fully Force sensitive because he doesn't have the information necessary to become a full Jedi because it's been lost? And like,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, there's a whole load of extra background lore that when you sit down and think about it with that character, it's just it's really, really good. Like, so I think just giving him a lightsaber and being like, you are the Jedi is it'd be lazy.
Yeah, it would have spoiled the effect for me.
Exactly, and I think we need less lightsabers. After the prequels, we need less lightsabers in Star Wars. We shouldn't automatically go lightsaber battle and have lots and lots of lightsabers. We should use them sparingly and for good effect.
Yeah, lightsabers are cool, but it can be a case of less is more. If there were fewer lightsabers, we'd appreciate them more.
Exactly. And the case in point here is the episode 2 when they're in the amphitheater. It's not really an amphitheater, but the big Colosseum type thing.
At the
end, where like all the Jedi are there and they're all fighting and they all have a gazillion lightsabers going at once, and it just looks like an epileptic fit, and you're like, no, it's alright, I'm done, I'm out.
I don't think that's what epileptic fits look like, Edgar.
Well, like, no, actually, yeah.
I know what you mean, though. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Flashing lights. No good. I'm surprised you didn't have stronger feelings for it, because I remember being a little bit viscerally angry at it. I get viscerally angry at an awful lot of things, to be fair, though. I kind of wear my emotions on my sleeve sometimes. But I
me, I'm pretty stoic, apart from when things don't work.
When technology doesn't work, is hilarious.
Yeah, when technology, like when a washing machine or whatever doesn't work.
But I remember the general take home I got from the Hello Internet review was kind of like people advocating for films that were status quo films that didn't try and do something new and push the boundaries, and that was just kind of like the same well-trodden formulaic sort of thing, like the easy path through the film and all this. And this feeds back into previous things we said about what I've talked about, how like I think Hollywood is just dying a slow and painful death, and just the lack of creativity. I know you disagree with me, but I think it's spilled over onto the consumer end where we expect that lack of creativity now. And I think that's, I don't know, I don't think this is a very good culture we're in at the moment. And I thought their views were kind of indicative of it. Whereas I think Rogue One is amazing. I think it's a really, really good film. It has its flaws like all films, but in terms of like a blockbuster type film, it tried stuff that I think is really admirable. And Admirable Akbar.
You disgust me.
I give it credit for that. And I still stand by what I said before, that I think it's the best of the Star Wars films.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that hasn't changed yet. So yeah, there you go. I'll leave links to the Rogue One review if anyone wants to check it out. I'll leave both links to ours and the Hello Internets.
Cool.
Should we crack on?
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay, so I have two things to say about the kind of canon of my world.
Okay.
That have arisen out of the past number of episodes. I have replaced, my planetary system is no longer called Dagger, because those sounds don't exist in Oa, and I've decided to just dump Oa in on this world. Oa is my fictional language for the new listeners. So Dagger has been changed to Takar.
Oh, cool.
So it's just like taking the D and devoicing it, and taking the G and devoicing it. It's still kind of the same thing, but Takar sounds a whole lot cooler, I think.
But you could probably go to Takar and say Dagger, and be interpreted as saying Takar, if they're not used to distinguishing between those consonants voiced and unvoiced.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can use both Dagger and Takar if you want. I'm going to stick to Takar. And then the other thing is the last time we had flag building. I did some flag building. I want to give a shout out to a Redditor who mentioned that flags needn't have the same design on both sides.
Yeah.
And they pointed out that the Soviet flag is one of these where the back is just red, I believe. Was it just red?
Yeah.
Yeah, the back of the flag is just red. The Oregon flag, which is the front is blue with a yellow emblem, and the back is blue with a different yellow emblem in the middle. So that's interesting. It's an interesting thing, and I think I might do that. I think whatever flag I eventually settle on, I think the back of it will just be plain purple, just because I can. And I think it's interesting. Now, I don't understand the real world implications. It's like why someone would put like a plain design on the back of the flag. Like that's It strikes me as weird because like you want to be able to identify the flag regardless of what direction you come at it. But it's a thing that's done, so I'm like, yeah, might as well give that a shot.
There's a list of 13 of them on Wikipedia.
Ooh.
13 flags whose reverse differs from the obverse. That was just to shout out. That was user Isarakathev. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Isarakathev.
Thank you for sending that information our way.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. And then, another thing, a different Redditor, I believe, pointed out was they linked us to a flag simulator web resource, which is just like literally the most amazing thing I've ever seen. So I'm going to put this in the show notes. It's a thing where you upload your JPEGs or PNGs or whatever into this flag simulator, and it puts it on a flag that is blowing in the wind. And
That's very cool.
It is great. And I tested the limits of the thing. It takes odd-shaped flags. It takes like the pennant shape. You can do whatever you want.
No way.
Yeah. It'll take if you have a PNG, it'll just register it as being transparent, and it'll take whatever flag.
That's brilliant.
So this, I consider this now like if you're interested in vexillological world building, I consider this program to be like a just must. So it will be in the show notes for anyone who needs it.
Great. That was Illyria Prime, I think, linked us to that. So thank you, Illyria Prime.
Thanks to the sub. I love people on Reddit. I love the way people do this. Like, we wouldn't have a show without people telling us what we can do better. But yeah, anyhow, so yeah, Takar. I have a 2-sided flag, and a shout out to the flag simulator is my sort of canon feedback follow up from last time. You got anything else on?
When you decide specifically which flag it is that you're going to run with, you're going to make the reverse plain purple.
Plain purple, just because I can.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Nice one.
So
do I have any follow up? I'm going to pick up on a throwaway comment you made and make a big deal of it.
All right, okay, go for it.
So you made some crack last episode about why are revolutionary flags always red or have some red in them.
I did, yes, yeah.
Okay, I have 2 examples of revolutionary flags that don't have red in them.
Oh, very interesting. Okay, what are they?
Okay, the first one, you might kick yourself when you hear this one. Is one of the flags from the 1916 Rising in Ireland.
Oh, the manky green thing.
The green one that had white and orange writing that said, or I think it was white and orange writing that said Irish Republic.
Oh, I'll link this in the show notes. I should have known that, and that is a disgusting flag.
Where's your patriotism?
My patriotism doesn't override my sense of design aesthetics.
That's the first one.
Yeah, just for the listener, really quickly, we have it's a green flag, a dark green flag, and in giant letters, the words Irish on the top bit and Republic on the bottom bit is written on the flag, and the yellow the letters are like a pale gold color with a darker gold sort of almost drop shadow like thing.
Oh no, it's white and gold.
Oh, is it white? Oh, it must be colors on my screen here. It's just not very nice. The typography is not very. It's very Celtic-y, which I think is a bit heavy-handed. Like, you know, we are
It might even be
Irish, we
white
are
and
Celts.
orange.
You what?
It might even be white and orange, like the current flag is. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
TLDR, not a good-looking flag. But yeah, I should have known that. Yeah, there you go. What's the second one?
The second one is what's called the Gadsden flag.
Okay, spell.
Gadsden. Or sorry, Gadsden. Gadsden flag.
Okay. What in the name of God is that?
Have you never seen this before?
The yellow thing?
Yeah.
No.
It's
This is not good.
It's from the American Revolution, I think. And it was like some revolutionary group in the 1770s. This was their flag when they were fighting against the Redcoats. And it's been... I think it's cool. Like, I think it's a cool motto. Don't tread on me.
Oh,
I should describe the flag.
You
It's
should.
a yellow flag. It's a yellow field with a coiled rattlesnake on it. On a sort of a patch of, I guess that's dark green grass.
yeah.
And the text, "Don't tread on me," written below it. And I think it's really cool. Like, I accept it's not a particularly good flag from a flag design point of view, but it's a cool and it's a powerful image, and it's kind of iconic. And as much as I don't particularly like nationalism, it can have good aesthetics sometimes, and I think this is an example of that.
Okay, I don't understand the context behind this flag, but "Don't tread on me" seems like a really, like, almost like a real passive or a submissive comment. Do you know what I mean? Like, it isn't like power, like big words written like that. It's like, don't tread on me. Like,
it's a rattlesnake, so if you step on the rattlesnake, what'll happen?
it'll get really angry and bite you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, I get that. But like, just from looking at it and reading it, you're like, oh, I don't know. It doesn't have the same oomph as many other revolutionary phrases like resist or power or, you know, people. But it's like, don't tread on me. And also, I don't think they have an apostrophe on "don't."
They may not. Let's see. There's a crack in my screen right over where the apostrophe should be. They don't. No, there's no apostrophe. Don't tread on me.
Don't tread on me. So
Don't tread on me.
the more I look
But it was the 1770s, so it was before they discovered grammar.
It's before this. Excellent. So a yellow flag. That's really interesting. Yeah, that is really interesting.
Now it's unfortunately it's kind of used by some elements of the American kind of fringe right at the moment. I think the Tea Party were quite fond of it.
Are you not using fringe right, alt right? No.
No, but not specifically the alt right. I mean,
okay.
As in more complex than that. As in like some of the more fringy libertarian groups and ANCAPs and stuff like that.
Okay, and they use that flag currently, like.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because yellow is the ANCAP color.
Hang on, you know who else uses this flag? American soccer supporter groups.
Yes.
Oh my god, that is brilliant. That's weird. That's a weird decision to make. That's brilliant. But there you go. Two non-red revolutionary flags.
Yeah. The only two I could find that didn't have any red in them.
Challenge.
No, I didn't look very hard, but you know.
Challenge for the subreddit for listeners to see if they can.
Yeah, for sure.
We'd love to see them. Like,
sure.
Extra challenge, bonus brownie points if you find a non-red revolutionary flag that is a good flag. I mean, that would be really lovely. Anyhow, are we? Do you have anything else to cover there?
I think that's all of my notes from follow-up. Yeah, that's all my follow-up notes.
Cool. Do we have anything in emails that is pertinent?
We got an absolute ton of emails.
Yes.
I'll just go through most of them pretty quickly. We got an email from CJ McCarley.
Okay.
Who suggests that we look up Glendon Lean. And Glendon Lean was a researcher who sailed around Papua New Guinea and Oceania collecting different counting systems that people had.
Ooh.
So there was places where they would count in base 9 or like base 27, I think, were two figures that he gave in the email. And a lot of it was done by body counting. So they'd start counting, say, on one hand, and they'd move up their shoulders, move up their arms and their shoulders, and like points on their head, and then down the other arm. So you could say, like, point to your shoulder, and they'd know that that was like 9.
Yeah, there is an interesting function like that, definitely. Yeah, you can point at a specific body part, and that directly correlates to a number. Which is really interesting, and it strikes me as really useful, and it seems weird that we don't have that.
Yeah,
per se, you know. So that's an interesting bit of feedback. I like that.
Yeah, so we've got an email from Kirkerman.
Okay.
Who says, yeah, you mentioned that you wanted to use the shapes of the flags to convey a medieval element to your sci-fi setting.
Mm-hmm.
And he suggested that heraldry might be a fertile pool for you to dip into.
Agree thoroughly. I just know nothing about heraldry.
Yeah. Well, he gave us some links. There's a heraldry subreddit, which am I still subscribed there? Which can be pretty interesting sometimes.
Now you see, I'm sub to the heraldry subreddit, and I just like looking at coat of arms. Like, they're really pretty, and I like especially when people design their own, like looking at the design of it. But I don't understand what's going on. Like, it's not like flag design where you just do something. Like, there's these rules to it, and that I just don't get. Now, to be fair, this emailer does leave a whole load of links, which is something I might check out, because if I'm going to pursue this like medieval bent to my like cyberpunk sort of thing, I may as well like really go medieval with it. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, something I'll definitely do. Yeah.
And he also suggests that heraldry would be useful in space, that people would adorn their suits, and so you would know by looking at it, you could like see their arms, as in coat of arms, not their limbs.
Space Knights. Yeah. Never been done before.
Well, the link he gave did go to a thing that included Space Marines from Warhammer 40,000, who are kind of like Space Knights.
Oh, I was making a Jedi stab there, because they're like Jedi Knights and they're in space. But but that is interesting. Slap on a coat of arms as an identifier, and that is cool, because it's like that is literally just taking the concept of knights and just putting it in space.
Yeah,
I just get them to fight now, and like in laser battles, and like you've literally just got medieval warfare in space. It's great. Like,
I think it would be worth noting the context of arms, though, is that it was used by the aristocracy. So there's a very heavy kind of class element to it, and that would be worth something worth considering if you're going to incorporate that in a setting. That it wouldn't necessarily work for, say, very egalitarian or those kind of utopian sci-fi settings. Because if there's thousands and thousands of people and they're all equal, why would anyone have arms, or how would you be expected to distinguish everyone's arms?
Yeah, but you can really easily transpose it on, say, like in my setting, to the government. Like, government troops could have it, like the symbol of they're fighting for like house government or whatever.
Sure, but I think at that point it stops really being about arms in the same way. It's just like identifying people by their uniform. Right.
Yeah. Okay. That's a very valid point. Yeah, definitely. There is context around that needs to be sorted out.
But that was cool. And now we got a couple of emails from Chikoko Sotome, who I think we mentioned in the previous episode.
We did, and this person was very happy to be mentioned.
Yes. So you're very welcome. Here you go again.
You're getting mentioned again.
The main thrust of Chikoko's emails was the language that they've been working on, the conlang, and called Communacian.
Did we ask for Chikoko to send in the conlang last time?
We may have.
I think we did. I can't remember. God, my memory's going. I think so.
I think we did, and they certainly delivered. Loads and loads of stuff on the conlang. Which is really, really interesting. A couple of points I want to bring up on it. I don't know if they've published this anywhere online, but I would encourage it, because there's some great stuff here.
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
Throw a link in the subreddit or something, and I'm sure people on the sub would love to check out. Like,
yeah, for sure. Uh, so it's a verb subject object language,
okay,
which I'm going to refer to again. Put a pin in that. I'm going to refer to that again in the main topic. Irish is also a verb subject object language, so I was happy to see that.
mm-hmm.
There's been some interesting thought put into its presentation. So Chikoka sent along the alphabet and the number system. The way numbers are written, there's related but different symbols for positive and negative numbers, which I thought was really cool.
Oh, interesting. So like -1 and 1 would be different symbols.
Slightly different, yeah. You can see that they're related, but there's an element in them, and it's a common element between all of them that makes it from a positive into a negative.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I thought that was very good. They mentioned that there's a genderless gender system, so that rather than being anything to do with the actual word itself or the concept it refers to, or to any concept of masculine or feminine, it's to do with the placement of the vowel. I think in the word, in the noun. I can't remember exactly how it was explained. But if anyone's interested in genderless gender systems from like grammatical gender, that not referring to like masculine and feminine,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of Bantu languages have something like this. It's called noun classes.
Oh, interesting.
So they have a prefix that is for the prefix for humans, and then there's the prefix that's the prefix for animals, and then the prefix that's the prefix for abstract concepts or long objects or colors or whatever. And it's different between all of them, but the Bantu languages is a really, really big family, and I think they could be quite closely related from the little I understand of it.
Can I jump in here? I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Because I haven't explored gender in conlang because the video stopped before then. A question that's always occurred to me was how did we get to this point where we use masculine and feminine and have it tied to like actual masculinity and femininity in grammar? That always struck me as really strange. Like it makes sense for like if you have like dea man, like we get that person is masculine, at least in the traditional sense. But when it comes to like the tree, like why did humans collectively just go themselves, we're gonna make that masculine because reasons? Like how did this arise?
It's mental, isn't it?
Yeah, do you know how it arose?
No.
No. I see, that was one of the things. I was going to do a video on this before the videos kind of stopped, because it always strikes me every time as just a massive, massive non sequitur.
Yeah.
Like, and I just don't understand the conditions that give rise to this.
Yeah, like it's completely bizarre to me. Why would you do it?
And it makes everything so much, like, it makes it so complex. It's so much harder to learn. Like, who just sits around and goes, you know what I'm going to do? You need to learn the word, and you need to learn the kind of the gender to it. Like, what? Like, why not just the word? I don't know. I don't understand. Like,
I get the impression that people who speak languages with gendered nouns don't really think about it all that much. So I don't know if any listeners who are fluent in, an Indo-European language with gendered grammar can give us any insight into it. But I'd be interested if they can.
I can't.
It's bizarre.
Yeah, I can't give any date here because whilst I can kind of sort of speak German, it's certainly not fluent enough that I have to not think about it. Like I constantly have to think about my German when I'm speaking German, and Same. And my little entry level steps into Spanish don't serve as a data point at all. Although I will say, on the subject of the gender thing, Spanish way easier than German. Way easier than German. Yeah, and I was at one stage fluent in German, so that's saying a lot. Way easier in terms of the gender system to grasp. I don't know if this is entirely true, because again, I'm just starting off with my Spanish thing. It seems more logical. It seems a little bit less random. Like 9 times out of 10, I can kind of guess the gender based on how the word ends and things like that. Whereas
Right, where you've got very little of that information in German. Yeah.
right, you just have the thing, and it literally could be any of the three genders. Like it could be anything. Who knows? No one knows. Germans apparently, and we don't know how they know, and we don't know why they started like that. It just makes it blows my mind. Anyhow, so do you want to crack on with Chiquito? Chiquito? Chiquito?
Chiquito.
Chiquito. Chiquito.
Two Ks.
2 Ks.
I think there's only one more point. There's 1.5 points. The thing that I found most interesting in it, and I think you'll see why this appealed to me, is there was interesting thought put into the social dimension of the language. The kind of the backstory to it was that it was originally the language of one tribe, I think, or one group anyway, who were mainly scribes and translators and stuff. And now it's, as they became more powerful in the society, it became spoken by everyone, but it's still sort of, the language is governed by this tribe. And I just think it's cool to see people put that sort of thought into the language, rather than just coming up with a language entirely neutral, and these are words and grammars, and stripped of social context, stripped of historical context.
Bill,
that's
Bill,
cool.
are you slagging my conlanging and world building?
Not at all.
No, joke. We talked about this last time, where I praised you about doing this exact thing in your world building. Whereas I don't do that. I just world build for almost like the technical accomplishment of world building and conlanging. And I kind of wish I was hardwired like you and Chiquito. I can't do that. I can't say it off the bat. I'm really sorry, Chiquito. Chiquito, is that it?
Yeah, you said it right.
Oh, okay, right, okay.
So you say you get like this is like you had this a few episodes ago. Like you couldn't say a certain word, and then you're like, "Damn, I can't say that word," and you said it perfectly when you said, "Damn, I can't say that."
yeah, because you get an extra practice round at it. Do you know what I mean? But like as a like flash in the pan once off, like it's like, oh, it's terrible. I fully agree with that sentiment. World building should, in earnest, be done with the social context and the broader context, like not in isolation. Don't do what I do. Essentially, it is essentially what the takeover here is.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Exactly. Chiquito. Yes. Go Edgar. Lee, if you do happen to publish this thing, throw us a link. We will chuck it in the show notes or on the subreddit, and people should go check it out. If Bill is enamored by it, others will be too.
Yeah, I was impressed with what we got.
Cool, excellent stuff.
And the last thing there, the half point.
Oh, the half
is,
point. Yeah.
They sent us some messages in Communasian. Now, one of them I'm not going to have a hope of being able to read.
Oh no, go on. I've messed up Chiquito's name so often. You get to mess up their language.
Okay. Well, I'll do the bad one first, so we can end this segment on a strong note.
Okay.
Schoxen dema nar dies yet asexual. The tean belumen. The tean beluma. The tean edgruma.
Beautiful.
Which means, Bill and Edgar, please feel my most emphatic thanks. Okay. So apologies for mangling that.
For butchering it.
The one I'm a little bit more confident with is Dasnar Artifexia Fwaxul. Which means, hello, Artifexian.
Oh, class. That's awesome. That's brilliant.
Right, so for the main topic, as agreed in the last episode, we both went off and did some world building again.
Attempted to, yes.
Ah, no, we did.
We did.
And I went and I worked a bit more on my conlang, which I am presenting to you here now. So the link to what I wrote should be in the show notes. It'll link to the blog for my main world building project. So this is actually a different setting to what we worked on last episode. So last episode was set in Handwavia, which I constructed way back in season 0, or first season. But this is actually for Janspar, my main project. And the concept for Janspar, the basic conceit behind it, is that everything that I present to the audience will be from within the universe. So I've never got like an external encyclopedic article about this is what this culture are like. This is what this culture is like. It's just people from within the world talking about it, are sending each other letters or whatever. And this created an interesting challenge from the point of view of how to do a conlang. So what I've done is I've written the first chapter of a language instruction book from within this world.
Okay, so so what you're linking to is one chapter of a language construction book, and it's covering, if I can continue to summarizing, it's covering what sounds are in this language, and the language is called Shibani.
Shibani, yes.
Shibani. What sounds are in Shibani, and it touches on a little bit of a lexicon and how things are pluralized.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's pretty cool. I like it. Again, everyone should pause here and go to the link. It's in the show notes, and read it. And once you've done that, come back. Again, Bill, as with all your world building, I really enjoyed it in universe stuff. It's really cool.
Thank you.
And I think this is a really unique solution to the conlang thing, because I would have said the obvious thing to do would be to write some bit of prose in which some character just talks in the conlang, and then have a bit of exposition around this. But I like the way you've written like a bit of educational text, which is really cool. So do you want to go through the sounds of the language, or actually, better idea, describe the language in terms of Earth analog? Like, what's it like on Earth? Where are your influences coming from?
I don't want to give a direct answer to some of this. Let me think about how to go about this.
All right, hold on. Can I take a stab at it then?
Yeah, sure, okay. Absolutely. That's actually what I was going to suggest.
Right. I think okay. So your plosives,
right?
P, B, T, D, K, G, and then the glottal stop are standard English plosives. Nothing crazy there.
Okay.
The nasals, you have voiceless nasals. So that's immediately making me think of like Icelandic languages. Don't say it. Don't say anything yet. Let me just get through the train of thought. So I'm thinking there's a Nordic influence there. Again, your fricatives, so sounds like f, v, that sort of thing. They're all pretty standard apart from hl, which is a very sort of native North American or Welsh sound. So
the double L. Oh, the double L. Yeah.
The double L, the hla. Yeah.
Hla.
I can't remember what the IPA term for it is. Though it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter. It makes no difference. And then you have, again, a not incredibly strange set of affricates. So 2 consonants following one another. Apart from one, which I believe is Czech-inspired. Is that inspired?
Yeah, I don't even know if that strictly counts as an affricate, because they're simultaneous rather than subsequent.
Yeah, so I'm thinking this is and given the fact that you've been learning Welsh, I think this is English with Welsh influences, and the sounds that you like in Welsh kind of elaborated on. Would I be correct in saying this?
You are partially correct.
Hey, I'll take
Welsh.
partially.
Welsh is one of the languages that I derived the phonological inventory from.
I'm assuming then with all those voiceless nasals, it's got to be Nordic languages being the other inspirations.
Welsh has voiceless nasals.
Does Welsh have voiceless nasals?
Apparently so. Now, in my study of it, I haven't really encountered them. So maybe what I've been doing, the Duolingo that I've been doing, just hasn't emphasized their voicelessness, and you can make yourself understood with them. And I have an old book about from like the 1960s on learning Welsh, which I don't think has brought it up at the start either. But I've read, and I was like looking at charts of, you know, IPA for Welsh, and the voiceless nasals were included, or some of the voiceless nasals were included. Yeah.
Interesting. Did not know that. I did not know that at all. So then, yeah, that makes me think that it's just entirely Welsh inspired. So can you reveal your other inspirations?
Not in this episode. I'll say it in the next episode if people want to have a guess at it.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Then I'll say next episode. But it's Welsh and one other language, that I have derived the phonological inventories from, and also the lexical influences.
Okay.
I looked up nouns in two different languages, in these two different languages, and just kind of combined bits of the nouns until I got something that had the right mouthfeel.
Mouthfeel. Mouthfeel. One more thing before we move on. Your inclusion of the and the. Why?
Because they're in the languages I'm deriving it from.
Okay, can I ask you to consider not including them?
You can ask.
Because there, an awful lot of the reading I did in my conlang series, reading that informed my conlang series, pointed the fact that the and the, although they're in English and English is a like all pervasive language, they're actually kind of like really weird and unstable sounds, and languages have a real tendency to just get rid of them.
Right.
So they're almost, I don't want to be like hyperbolic here, but they're almost like abominations of sounds. So I think not including them is nearly always a better idea than including them. Maybe personal conlang choice there, but something to think about. They're not as common or as easy as people might think. Like a lot of people include them because they're like, oh, they're in English. But then the minute you go and tell a German speaker to produce it, they're like, what? Like like, you know, and even like our dialect, like my dialect doesn't have it. Like they're not easy sounds.
You have it, you just don't pronounce it exactly the same way.
No.
Like you do. I suppose you don't do the the. Yeah.
Yeah,
you do distinguish those sounds. I'm insistent.
yeah. Also, I don't pronounce them consistently, and then I tend to dentalize them a lot more than they should be dentalized.
Well,
but they're not
should be by received pronunciation. There's no right way.
Exactly. And so I would counsel always, if I see any conlangers inventory, I would counsel always dropping those. That's just my opinion. Take it or leave it. And
I see what you mean, but like maybe this is just a snapshot of the language at a point where they did still exist.
Yeah, there's a million ways around it, and then also you can always just go, but English, and that's a perfectly valid counter argument as well. Okay, so do you have anything else? What else do you have anything to talk about there?
About the phonological inventory, I mentioned that I have a book that I'm using. I haven't looked at it in a while, but that I have been using to learn Welsh from, and this kind of informed my format here, because it opens with this is Welsh. These are the sounds in Welsh. Know how to make these sounds, and it goes through all of the consonants and the vowels. But it presents it as, this is a P sound, just the same as in put, or this is a TH sound, like whatever. And I felt that to do that would break the immersion.
Yeah, agreed.
Like to write in this, in the context of this fictional world, that, oh, well, this is a K sound, like in cat, would be referring explicitly to English.
Yeah, and then if you had said, like, this is a K sound, as in, and then insert fictional word from another fictional language, it's irrelevant to us reading it.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it means nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So I had to kind of come up with a way of how can I do this without either comparing it to sounds in other words or using the IPA, because they don't have the IPA. Well, or at least anything comparable that they would have probably wouldn't use the same language.
Yeah, but
use the same words.
Yeah, but what you've done here is you've used the IPA, except you've used it in layman speak. If I can, just for the listener, for
like I've described the sounds in like straight prose. I've given like plain descriptions of how to produce the sounds.
Exactly. So like for the listener, the sound P. Bill writes, the air is halted and then released at the lips. The vocal cords are not excited, which is essentially giving a manner, a place, and a place of articulation. It's just it just doesn't use that terminology, which I really like. Which is really
it's longhand for voiceless bilabial plosive.
Exactly, yeah, and which I really like, and it's good. My only problem with this prose, and I realize you have to do it, is that when it comes to sounds I'm not immediately familiar with, it's really hard to parse.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair.
Yeah, and like which is fine, and I doubt like anyone reading this, like does anyone really actually read this sort of stuff and go, I'm using this as a teaching aid for Bill's fictional language? It's like, no, they just want to get it immersed in the
They
world.
better.
They better. Yeah, I like your treatment. I think it's very, very good.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Anything else?
I think that's it on the phonological thing.
So can we move on to the lexicon?
Yeah, let's move on to the lexicon.
Okay, so Bill has included here a number of words. So, for example, and forgive my butchering of your language, mother is ama, father is ata, son is toli, city...
Son as in the star, not as in the kinship term.
Bingo, with the U.
Yep.
City is... Kaich?
Zeich. No, it's like a TS. Zeich.
Okay. Oh, also another thing I always want to bring up. Sorry, backing up a little bit. I think you should avoid C's. This is like
as a symbol.
As a symbol, Conlanger's 101, I think, because of the English association of C. Like, we look at a C and we're always kind of like, it's either an S or a K sound depending on the vowel, and it's very hard to break that. There's a famous example that's covered in the Language Construction Kit by Mark Rosenfelder, which is a book everyone should get. It's really, really, really good. Where Tolkien, there's a word Celeborn in one of his languages, and Tolkien had intended the C to always be hard, so it should have been Celeborn, but no one reads it like that, so it's become canon that it's Celeborn. So C is a real dodgy thing that will make an awful lot of people mispronounce things immediately. So I would nearly insert a non-standard glyph there, and that would be so much better than the C, or just put a K or TS. Like, the C it's always problematic.
That's a good point. That's worth considering.
Yay, one good point. Woo!
Not necessarily for this specific example, but part of me is okay with people taking this and mispronouncing it and getting things slightly other than what I had intended, because for me that's quite a fertile generative process, and it saves on having to actually wait hundreds of years for people to develop the language naturally. So if like someone goes off and they do it wrong, and then the way that they do it wrong could be quite interesting, and could be like a different dialect, or might inspire me to build something based on what they did that was other than my intention. It's
like the George Lucas thing about how to pronounce Leia. It's like all the pronunciations go because they're different dialects.
Did he say that?
Yeah. There's in the original series, George. I think everyone pronounced Leia just differently. It was like Leia. I
never even noticed that.
And Leia. Yeah. There's lots of inconsistencies like that. Like things like Leia's accent changes the whole time.
Oh really?
Yeah. It goes from like American to like RP. And that, without getting on a big rant, I think that was the genesis of like Queen Amidala's like regal tone. It was like you adopt RP in official capacities in the Star Wars universe. You're American outside of official capacities, but when you're in official capacities, you adopt RP. But in any case, yeah, so he did the same thing. He was like, Leia, it doesn't matter. People speak differently from around the galaxy, just whatever goes, which I think is great. And I think you...
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, you and George are on the right end here. Now, this vocabulary, it goes on for a bit, and there's loads of little words, which are great. Can I talk about plurals?
Yes.
Again, because
I'm glad that you do.
Hey, I never explored this because the Con Lang series cut off short. So I'm fascinated by this, and I want to know if there's real life precedent. So Bill has a word here for mother, which we covered. It's ama. And then mothers are nama.
Yep.
Right? So an N is put in front of ama, and it pluralizes. Same with fathers. Fathers is ata. Father is ata, and fathers is nata. Now, is this a real life thing whereby you put in plosives, or you put in like non-vowel sounds, whatever, at the front, and that pluralizes things?
I've no idea.
So that's not drawn from Welsh or anything. You've ran with it and been like, that's what I want to do.
The idea of changing the start is drawn from Celtic languages, but not specifically of mutating it to pluralize it. No, that's just an idea I had a few days ago.
Okay, and what about this idea? Then, if we go on, the sun, as in the celestial object, is Toli,
Yeah.
and suns are Doli.
Mm-hmm.
So you're changing the actual. You're not adding anything. You're changing the initial consonant.
Yep.
Something about that strikes me as really weird.
Okay.
I can't put into words why I think that's jarring. Something about that is, and maybe someone more educated than I could point out why this is, but that strikes me as like it wouldn't work that way. Oh, actually, I know why it wouldn't work that way. I feel like there would be too much room for confusion. Like if you're talking at speed and you say Toli and Dolly,
Mm-hmm.
it's like how you. I feel like the distinguishing element is not prominent enough.
Possibly, but bear in mind there may be other grammatical stuff here that will emphasize that it's a plural.
Yeah,
Language does tend to be quite redundant.
right. Exactly. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you keep to that the whole way through. All these words. Okay, you seem to. Wait, can I figure out your plan?
There's a couple of things here.
Okay,
There's like 3 rules and then 5 sounds that are slight exceptions.
Okay, hold on. Okay, all right, let me see if I can figure out the word. Okay, we can figure out some of the rules. In front, if a word begins with a vowel, you stick a nasal in front of it.
Yeah, well, it gets an
Grand. Okay, cool.
So sky is ahal, skies is nahal.
Where's sky?
It's at the bottom. It
Yeah.
should be at the bottom of the second page of the PDF. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So if it begins with a vowel, you put a nasal class sound in front of it.
Yep.
If it begins with a T, now does this hold every time? If it begins with a T-like sound, you
hope
just
it does. It's meant to.
if it's voiceless, if you have a voiceless plosive, you voice it to make it plural.
Yes.
Yeah, that seems to hold. Now, there's also a rule regarding adding of vowels at the front. Oh, jeez, this gets complex really fast. I don't know. What are your rules, or can you reveal them?
Okay, I'm not going to reveal all of them.
You're so secretive.
No, I'm just because this, the whole thing is like I want it to be just revealed through the documents.
Okay.
So So now I'm sure as I go on and build more of a lexicon, I will find exceptions that I like. But the general thing at the moment, you've hit on 2 of them, is that a noun beginning with a vowel takes an n to pluralize it, and a noun beginning, well, you said it with a voiceless fricative, it's any voiceless consonant, you voice the consonant.
Oh, any voiceless consonant, you voice it to make it plural. Okay. Yes.
Pretty much, unless there's one of my 5 exceptions, which I only a few of them even show up in the lexicon, so they're not all available to be discovered at the moment.
And now, what's the rule regarding adding on vowels at the start? That seems to be a thing you're doing here.
Okay, well let's see. Where am I doing that?
Cities.
So Zeich becomes Atzeich.
And then God is Duot.
Duot becomes Aduot.
Exactly. So that must be. What's the rule here? What is the rule? Why? Hold on. Let me think about this some more.
Actually, maybe Zeich shouldn't be that. Let me think about that.
Well, what's your rule?
If it starts with a voiced consonant, it gets an a.
If it starts with a voiced consonant, it gets an a. Okay. Dalt.
Does that make sense?
Adult. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. And then you have exceptions, which I don't think we should get into because I think they're important. Those exceptions. One thing conlangers often fall into is like creating stuff that's just too artificial and makes too much like analogs of Esperanto all the time. So it's good to have like, oh, these are the rules, and then this is an exception, and then also that, and then because of historical reasons, there's also this weird like case where it happens. I think that's really important. Cool. Yeah, I like the pluralization thing. Something about it is strange. I don't know whether or not that's just me. If someone could let me know, that'd be great.
Well, do you want to hear what my reasoning behind it is?
Yeah.
it's just making things a little bit more intense at the beginning of the word. So instead of having it voiced like cathen for tree, gathen, it's a little bit more intense because there's more of them.
Oh, that's interesting. But that doesn't really hold up with ama and nama.
Yeah, because you're nama, and then it's like you're adding an extra sound to it.
Oh, okay. In terms of adding extra sound, yeah. Because I was about to say it doesn't make it more intense by adding an n because a vowel is always going to be more sonorous. So by adding a less sonorous sound in front of it, you're not making it more intense. But yes, you're adding more sounds. So yeah, there is intensity derived from that.
Although I have played with the idea that some of the related dialects or some of the related languages around Shibani would play with nasalization of vowels as a grammatic thing. So instead of being, say, it doesn't work so well with mother and father, but for what's another word here, for ahwal, instead of it being nahwal for the plural, it might be anhwal.
Oh, interesting.
Like it nasalizes the vowel instead.
Oh, here. Okay, sorry. It just dawned on me. I think another problem I have with the plurals here is that, yeah, the intelligibility argument again. I think you should rely more on adding sonorous or changing sonorous elements, such that like it's easy to decipher meaning. So, like if you had ama, and then if for mother, and then you change it to like ami, I realize that's very kind of like bog standard. That's easy to recognize because the sound you're altering is the most sonorous in the syllable, so people will automatically hear it. Whereas if you add on, say, I don't know, like a voice plosive, that's not very sonorous at all. Like if you can literally look at a sonority hierarchy online, and you'll see they're right down the bottom. So I'm thinking, yeah, again, in quick speech or if it's being shouted at someone, I think you'll lose the ability to be able to distinguish well. I think in isolation like this, when it's written in front of you, I think you can definitely see it. But yeah, it's like you can hear it, like ama versus ami, and then ama versus nama. I think you'll lose intelligibility doing this. I don't mean to diss your ideas. I'm just this for the sake of debate.
No,
that's
okay.
Yeah, because there's something about the plurals I'm not digging. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, but maybe that's just a part of the language. Some languages are bad at doing certain things.
Yeah, but they tend to kind of iron themselves out, because intelligibility is like the whole point of the thing. Like maybe yes, there are certain languages are bad but they're awkward because they employ complex sounds. But like a base level is can I be understood, especially like from evolutionary sort of sense. Like can I be understood on a hunt way back like 10,000 years ago? That sort of crap, Like I think that's important.
Yeah.
But again, I could be entirely wrong here. I'm basing this on very little. I'm basing this on gut, and just by looking at it and go and talking to myself. Because again, like I encourage people on subreddit to tell me why I'm wrong on this. But yeah, and another point I really like. I really like the sounds you have chosen for mother and father, particularly because they follow the nice rule that they should be sounds that kids can produce very easily.
Yeah.
Because they will be the initial sounds that they'll be their first steps into language will be the sounds for mother and father, and that's ama and ata, and I think that's really really good. It's always jarring if someone has sound for family members or words for family members, and they're these big complex ream of sounds. You're like, that's just not.
Shitangai.
Yeah, it's just not like it's Klingon. Klingon will probably have that. But like it's just it's not feasible, and I like what you've done there. It's a clever use of sounds, and then the more complex ideas and concepts have slightly more complex sounds because there's something that arises later. I like it. The words are good. The pluralization I have issues with.
Okay.
All right. Anything else on that?
From reading it, do you have any? Does it give you any ideas about the world? Like from the language and from like the kind of the I suppose it's not strictly paratext, but from like the preamble and stuff around it. Do you feel like you get any impression of what the world is like?
Okay, maybe. In the preamble, for the listeners, in the preamble, there is discussion about mutual intelligibility and how there seems to be. Now, I'm paraphrasing here, so stop me if I'm getting it wrong. There seems to be like this language continuum where Shibani occurs, where sounds are borrowed and all this sort of stuff. That reminds me a lot of what goes on with, oh God, is it Bantu languages? You have a big, massive language continuum stretching all across Africa, whereby...
Well, like everywhere kind of south of Nigeria, I guess.
Right, yeah. Whereby any neighboring languages are mutually intelligible, but you lose intelligibility the further down the line you go. This reminds me an awful lot of that. So I'm getting a sort of African vibe to it. But the sounds aren't giving me particularly an African vibe. Like those nasals are just like we said, like they're Welsh inspired. They're not giving me an African vibe. But yeah, I'm getting the idea of a language continuum.
Okay.
Am I right?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's literally what it's describing. I guess there's like.
But
live here.
But am I right in saying that? Well, no, because you don't have like a language continuum in Europe. Like there's a certain set of circumstances that lead to this, you know. And what I'm saying is that your prose here is making me think of a set of circumstances that are like very close or mirror what's going on in Africa.
Well, I don't really know I suppose it comes from the Bantu expansion is why why that language thing exists. I don't really know much else about the scenarios that set up a language continuum like that. But I would suspect that we probably had something a little bit more like that before nationalism in Europe.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
You know, there's the dialects of like Italy, or well, I suppose the languages of Italy that aren't really Italian, but they're all kind of just about mutually intelligible with Italian, but not necessarily to each other. And then there was all the languages all over France, and then there'd be some of the ones in between where actually that language is a little bit more like Italian, but it's in France. And then Catalan is in Spain, but that's actually it's a lot more like French in some respects or whatever. So I think Europe probably was a little bit more like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Before nationalism happened.
Agree. But and then also I suppose another thing that is making me think that it's a African setting, and I'm going to be clear here, like a sub-Saharan, desert sort of setting, like a low-tech setting. I realize these words could be quite controversial when referring to Africa, but I hope I'm getting the right drift here. Your lexicon doesn't contain any words. I realize it's small, but it doesn't contain any words that lead me to think that this is a Westernish culture.
Okay.
Like it has cities, I get that, but there's an awful lot of like camel, elephant, lots of words about nature. We don't have things like buildings or streets or roads. So that further emphasizes to me that this is a Bantu-esque sort of thing. I realize I'm wrong now, but
okay.
But that's
I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, like that strikes me as a deliberate decision. You're like to have words like, if we just ream off a couple here, we have water, fire, fish, bird, dog, cow, camel, elephant, tree, and leaf. So this strikes me as
I'm gonna say all of those in the language.
Go for it.
Tal, Shan, Mizin, Toten, Kichi, Futsa, Shatem, Esvuch, Kathen, Idzen.
It's a really nice sounding language.
Oh, thanks, dude.
It's a very nice sound. I like it. It's very... It's all of those nice fricatives and voiceless nasals. They give it a real breathy vibe to it. It's nice.
I can't quite do the voiceless nasals right, and like some of the, like I can't quite get that check, the raised sonorant trill.
Yeah, but you're not a native speaker of Shibani, so like
Yeah,
or Shibani.
And I'm not fully able to do that that double L sound that.
No, you
kind of do it.
You do that fine. You do that fine. You really do.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So anyhow, so we have water, fire, fish, bird, dog, cow, camel, elephant, tree, and leaf. This gives me the vibe of sort of a sub-Saharan agrarian society.
Okay.
I suppose you're not going to reveal to me, are you? No.
All I'm going to give you is the cryptic clue that you know it a little better than you realize.
I fully realize that this is the setting we played D&D in before.
All right. Yeah, the city I mentioned is the city where it was set.
Yeah, but didn't we this
Okay.
setting for the listeners? We played D&D a while ago, like a long time ago, and Bill World built this setting for the game, and this occurs on a peninsula, right? That is analogous to like the Arabian Peninsula.
Maybe a bit, yeah.
So my idea of like an African agrarian sort of thing seems exactly fitting.
Africa and Arabia are quite different.
Yeah, but this is certainly not Wales or Iceland, the way your phonological inventory would
Oh, okay, I see what you mean.
give the vibe. So I don't know. Okay, I'll think about it. I'll get back to you. Follow up for next time.
Sure.
I like it. I really like your inventory, man. I think it's
dude.
it's a real lovely use of real breathy sounds and lots of real nice fricatives. I like it. It's good.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anything else to cover on that, or should we crack on, or what's the crack?
I've got one slight digression.
Oh yes, go for it.
And this touches in like what I said about the I see you clicking through the document there. What I said about the language that Chikoko sent us and the way I like to think about world building. How like interesting languages can be. And like the stories that just facts about the languages can tell us how interesting those can be. And like what I said about, how a few hundred years ago there was kind of more of a language continuum in Europe. As far as I understand, I came across, only sort of related to doing this, I came across a language called the Plaudich language.
The Plaudich language, okay.
I think is how it's pronounced. Now, the story here is wild. Plaudich is a German language. It's a Low German. I think it's a form of Prussian, as in Germanic Prussian, not old Baltic Prussian.
Right.
Spoken in Alaska.
Spoken in
via the.
Wait, in Alaska?
I think it's probably dead at this stage. It's very, 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 very rare at this stage, but that it was spoken in Alaska.
Oh, okay.
Via the Russian Empire.
Russian Empire?
Yep.
Huh.
So the speakers of Plaudich were from somewhere in Prussia, like historical Prussia. So I guess it would be somewhere that might be in Poland now. And over history, there was a lot of German-speaking immigration into the Russian Empire. Like there were Volga Germans right up until the 20th century. I don't know if they're still around. A lot of them were repatriated, I suspect. And this is the whole thing. Like languages are so much more complex historically than I think we realize a lot of the time. So there were this like German group, and a lot of them were religiously they were Mennonites, and they were living in the Russian Empire. And then when Russia was like colonizing North America, where they had Alaska and I think bits of what are now Canada might have belonged to Russia at some point, these German speaking or these Plaudich speaking Russian Mennonites immigrated to Alaska. So they ended up in North America going the long way around, like across Asia, to colonize there on behalf of the Russians.
Wow!
Isn't that just like a cool story? When you think of, I mean, if you thought at all about German immigration into the United States, you'd think of them being kind of, English speaking or German speaking and now speaking English, or maybe kind of the Jewish immigration, German Jews going to America. You might think of Texas German.
Texas German? What?
Yeah, there's a dialect of German spoken in parts of Texas.
Get out!
Yeah.
Huh. Texas
And
German.
there are other kind of Mennonite groups and like groups like the Amish who would speak Germanic languages. That some of them might still have theirs, but they came mostly across the Atlantic. This one went the long way around. Went to Russia first, then all the way across, and then crossed the Pacific and set up shop in Alaska.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I'm looking
and
I'm looking at the page for Texas German for a second here.
yeah,
This is hilarious. Like an airplane in standard German is a Flugzeug,
Flugzeug. Yeah,
which kind of translates to like flying thing.
yeah,
Flug is like flight and Zeug is like thing. And then in
yeah.
Texas
Flying yoke.
flying yoke, exactly. And then in Texas German it's like Luftschiff. So Luft is like air and Schiff is like boat.
Yeah,
And it's like
a sky ship.
yeah, or like an air, like the Wikipedia says, an airship. Like
Yeah.
this is crazy. It's not even. It's so close to German. This is mental. Like a skunk in standard German is
Stinktier.
Stinktier. So literally like smelly animal. And then in Texas German, it's Stinkkatze, which is literally smelly cat.
That's great.
This is crazy.
Do you know what?
You'd expect more. You expect it to morph more, but this is literally like intelligible. You speak German, you can speak Texan German.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's like immigration that happened at the end of the 19th century.
Okay, all right, okay. That's mental. I should go hit up my German homies in Texas when I'm over in America in the summer.
Yeah. Do you know what the German for sloth is? Like regular Hochdeutsch.
Oh, is this like a foul tier? Yeah.
Lazy animal.
Yeah, foul is lazy and tier is animal. Love it.
I just think that is so, first of all, hilarious, and second of all, adorable.
I adore German and the way they name things. It's just like, what is this thing? And then someone describes it and you're like, okay, we'll name it exactly that. There's no hyperbole. There's no nothing. It's completely descriptive of the thing. It's hilarious.
Oh my god, what do you call that lazy animal? I don't know.
Lazy animal. Oh, I love it. It's a wonder that the German race has spawned so much like creative brilliance over the years. Like Bach was German and all this. Like you think with that language they'd be predisposed to be kind of really like non-creative, do you know?
Because it's so literal, you mean?
Because it's so literal, yeah. It's like there's no creative license, or little to no creative license used in the language. It's just like, what is the thing? This is the thing. It shall be called that. But at the same time, they've spawned like Bach and Beethoven. It's just, it's mental.
There is a tendency among speakers of Plauditsch to not use future tense, or to kind of construct it in curious ways. To speak of that they have intentions to do things rather than that I will do a thing.
Is this like philosophically? Is this a philosophical choice? As in, you don't know what will happen tomorrow. Don't jinx it by saying I will definitely do that. Kind
of, yeah. No, I just read this off Wikipedia, so I mightn't have the full details of this accurate, but and it's only in some of the communities, but it refers to a Bible verse, James 4:13.
Ah, yes, James 4:13.
Which is, I'll read it out to you. This is from, actually, I don't know what translation this is from. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
The Orange Catholic Bible, man.
Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to such and such a city, and spend a year there, and engage in business and make a profit. Yet you do not know what your life will be like tomorrow. You are just a vapor that appears for a little while, and then vanishes away. Which is a pretty cool verse, I have to say.
Yeah.
But on the basis of that, they don't actually say, I will do this, and we will go to such and such a city. Some speakers will just say, I intend to, or I will try to, or I want to.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting. I like that. That from a philosophical standpoint. It reminds me of the Spanish, again, because I'm learning Spanish, of the different verbs to be. You have...
Are there different verbs to be in Spanish?
Yeah. Oh, God, I'm going to get this wrong because I'm not good at Spanish. You have, like, ser and estar.
Okay.
And the way I understand it is that if there's a sense of permanence to a thing, you use a star. And if there's a
Okay.
sense of transient thing, you say ser. So if you were to say like something like I am sad, you're not permanently sad, so you'd use ser. So I don't know, whatever that is in Spanish, I can't say it. Which I thought was really interesting. And I've been keeping an eye out for that as I study Spanish. And I don't know if it's entirely applied consistently. Like there's sometimes where I'm like, hang on, are you saying that you're permanently in a state of like, I don't know, panic? It's very strange, but it reminds me of that, like the different sort of philosophical bent to the language.
Cool.
Yeah. There you go. I
It's
like
kind
it.
of like Irish.
Oh wait, hang on. There's something like that in Irish.
Yeah, there's 2 verbs to be in Irish. At least. I think there might be. Is there kind of a third?
Wait,
I don't know. But there's like
is there?
there's be and there's is, and it's not exactly like this, but I always kind of think of it as like be, which is the verb like ta,
Okay.
is descriptive, and is definitive.
So give me an example here, and I'll translate for the listener.
So you'd say something like tá mé tain.
Tame tine. So I
Yeah.
am sick. Okay.
Yeah, or like tá ucrasarm is I am hungry.
Yeah.
Although that's more like there is a hunger on me, which is another kind of a separate thing, but similar, related.
Okay.
But then you'd say like, you could say like, is muntor me.
Oh, I am a teacher. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see the difference. I realize
Now, as I said, my Irish is a little bit. I'm learning. I'm doing a course at the moment, actually. I'm doing evening classes, so it's a little bit wobbly. But they might not be perfect examples, but certainly a distinction like that seems to exist.
I realize now that you say this, for anyone who doesn't know Irish, it's going to mean absolutely nothing to them. Because I know exactly what you mean. There are 2 different versions here. But yeah, I can't really define why.
Yeah. Or for example, like where Barack Obama's slogan, "Yes, we can."
Yeah.
Right. That was translated into Irish as "is féidirlinn," and that's not using tá, that's using is, which is the other form of the verb, or the other verb possibly. I don't know exactly how it's split up, but it's not tá míad ábalta or whatever.
Yeah.
A way you could translate that, but it's is féidirlinn. So
I
maybe there's a more emphatic thing to it.
I wonder if this leads, kind of follows on from what we said before, where the most common verbs are subject to the most amount of mutation. So I wonder.
I suspect so.
I wonder if this is the case. Yeah, like you use to be all the time, so it could lead to some interesting uses where to carve is not going to have this multifaceted layering going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
A conlang on a race that is entirely composed of butchers.
Do we have anything else on that?
I think that's it on the conlanging front.
Okay, so
we'll talk a little bit more about language and language learning if we get to it in the green room. But that's it for. I think that's it for my conlang.
So
I have more stuff planned. I have a bit of the grammar planned out. I was playing around with the idea of including noun classes, like I mentioned earlier, the Bantu thing. But I don't know enough about it to know if I can do it justice yet, or you do it like well. So we'll see if that happens.
Bit of research. Let us know how you get on. Definitely.
I will. I certainly will.
Cool. As always, links in the show notes for anyone who wants to read up on this.
Sure thing.
Yeah, and let us know what you thought of it in the sub.
Let's talk some fauna. I am looking forward to this.
Have you seen the pictures yet?
I have. I have looked at all the pictures at least twice each.
At least twice each. Okay, so for the listeners, last month my job was to come up with some fauna for Takar, as it currently stands. So what I did was I had a concept for various animals, and I talked to Astrid Frizek, which I really hope I'm pronouncing correctly. I think I am. An artist who has created art for the podcast previously, to see whether or not they would draw some of my concepts. And they obliged, and they're awesome, and I'm so happy with this. So
and thank you so much to Astrid for doing this. They're really absolutely excellent.
they're really good, and it's all pro bono work, because we we don't pay bill here at the Artifexian podcast. We can't pay external people to do any of this, so it's all pro bono and just done out of the goodness of people's hearts, which I think is great and testament to Astrid. So I suppose again, everything's going to be linked in the show notes. Have a look, have a peruse through the collection of wildlife. I'll just talk at you. I'll talk up my influences at you.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
I might even take notes. Hold on till I get a pen.
Oh, pen and paper. Oh God. So remember, Takar is a world built on sort of Afro-Brazilian conceits.
No.
Do you remember
that?
Do you remember it all started with Kiambanda, the magic system? And that was a system that was inspired by practices that are Afro-Brazilian in nature.
Oh, okay.
So that I thought about that for my animal creation, and was like, okay, I'm just going to look up a list of all the animals that live in Brazil and all the animals that live in the region in Africa whereby Kiambanda is thought to have begun. And I am going to cross-reference the various animals and mash them up together into hybrid animals for two reasons. One, I absolutely adored The Last Airbender, Avatar The Last Airbender, the way they did that with animals. It's just great, and I wanted to do the same thing. And second reason is one of my favorite subreddits is hybrid animals, which does what it says on the thing. You take one animal, you mash it together with another animal, you make a whole new wonderful magical creation, and I wanted to do that here. So there is no complex societal world building going on here. I literally just wanted to fill this fantasy of mine to make this happen.
Okay.
So this is what occurred. So if we go through them, just to explain, first animal here is I've called it the bat possum.
Okay.
Which is literally just a portmanteau of bat and opossum. So it is, for anyone who's not looking at the picture right now, it is quite literally a opossum that has wings and a Fu Manchu. And it looks awesome. You should really check it out. It's amazing.
It does have a Fu Manchu.
Yeah, part of the thing, I wanted a lot of the animals to have Fu Manchus.
Okay.
Why? I don't know. I really don't know. It's Fu Manchu might go well. And just a little design thing here that I asked Astrid to include was all the animals have 3 eyes, at least 3 eyes, and all of them contain some sort of purple. So again, just running this theme of purple from my world. So the bat opossum or the bat possum has 3 purple eyes. The reason for the 3 eyes is because, so if you remember, Takar is located around a star system that has low mass stars. Low mass stars are prone to be flare stars. That means sporadically and without warning, they can orders of magnitude double their energy output in massive flares. So there was a BBC documentary ages ago that theorized about what life around such a world would be like, and one of their postulates was that animals on planets around these low mass flare stars would need to have some sort of early warning system so that they could take cover. And they postulated this idea of a third eye, like a UV sensitive eye that picked up trace amounts of increased UV radiation. And the animal would register that and run for safety as when a flare erupted. So this is why they all have at least 3 eyes. They have eyes for normal visible wavelength vision, and then 1 eye to see in the UV, so they could hide from this threat.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Oh,
I
but
don't
there's
know. It doesn't sound like the most evolutionarily efficient solution to the problem.
what would be the most evolutionary sufficient thing to the problem?
Just be able to see UV with your regular eyes,
That's true.
rather than developing a whole other organ that has only this one use, and is going to be like, how often would a solar flare happen?
Yeah, but hang on. How? Yeah, oh, like well, that's completely sporadic. It could be all the time. I don't know. Like that.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, like
complete-
if it was like hundreds of years apart, I wouldn't imagine it would be a very strong evolutionary pressure.
No, but I wouldn't imagine my setting would be would have it hundreds of years apart. But like also,
Okay.
man, you're like if you think about it, all the organs we use to like interact with our environment with. Like,
Mm-hmm.
do we need all those organs? Do we need to be able to see, hear, touch, smell? Like, there's plenty of animals that don't do with some of those organs. And
Yeah, but this is an organ that's just got one really, really specialized thing. It's only going to be used in one occasional circumstance. You could get the same benefit to that organ in a much more efficient way that would require less resources and would like in the evolutionary path would outperform. Like if you had say two branches, one which had randomly mutated to have two eyes, or had however many number of eyes that, and all of them could see ultraviolet, and you had another one that had two eyes that couldn't, two regular eyes like us, and then one ultraviolet eye. That's going to be a less efficient solution. So the one with eyes that can all see ultraviolet will gradually outperform the other one. Possibly. See what I mean?
I do. I would argue that you would need to look at the output. Where is the peak output? The peak radiation output of the star. On a normal day. So, like our sun, the reason why we see in the visible wavelength is because we see what is the peak output of the sun. Where is this sun usually irradiating at? Right.
Right.
So my gut is, I have to research this. My gut is that it actually could be quite complex. Like these low mass stars would usually be skewed towards the infrared slightly. So their standard eyes, you couldn't have a system whereby the eyes would just see UV, because that wouldn't be the standard output of the sun. The standard output would be more shifted towards the infrared. In which case, you might actually need a special organ to pick up like those high energy bursts and hide from them. I think it could be like I fully see your point, and I realize it requires research on my part, and also I kind of just wanted three eyes.
Yeah, well, that's a perfectly fine aesthetic choice on itself. Three eyes are cool.
But now that you bring it up, that's interesting. About where is what do they need to see in, and can that also work as this early protection method, the early detection method? I don't know the answer.
But like they could see invisible spectrum and just have it go higher than the visual spectrum we have and incorporate it. I'm not saying that they would have ultraviolet eyes that would exclude other things. It was just that the eye would have a greater.
Yeah, they can just see more.
Yeah,
you could do totally. And then there's also the question. Oh, geez, I really didn't think we get into like talk about eyes here. But there's also the question about whether or not, and I can't answer this because again, I didn't do homework on this. I just wanted three eyes. There's also the question about whether or not a third eye could that do anything for like depth perception. Is there any sort of enhancements that can be made? Can one perceive the world better if we have three eyes? Could you have?
Well, you've got redundancy for depth perception, that you can lose an eye in a fight or an accident and still have.
Binocular
vision.
That's true, and you, depending on the placement of the third eye, you could also have a greater field of vision.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You could see a greater arc light, but then that detracts from the idea that it's just a UV detecting organ. Like then it needs to be, but then it can just be like like you said, the broad spectrum. That's there are pros and cons, but I just chose it because I wanted three eyes.
And that's absolutely fine, and I fully support that. Three eyes.
Also,
I like it.
my setting, it's quite. See, I want to be able to make decisions like that just because I like them and it's fun.
Yeah.
So my setting is very much like, again, if I ever write this novel, it would very much be like a really young adult vibe where you can kind of get away with these loose choices that you don't have to be as strict as you would in like a high fantasy sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because I like that, and I like things like Avatar that do all this. But anyhow, let's crack on. So we have the bat opossum yolk, but
I've one last point to make in the bat possum.
Oh yeah, make it.
I really like the wings, because there's a lot of different ways that wings work in nature, and like in some animals, I think like in pterodactyls, the top of the wing is the fingers. Like all of the arm happens like at the shoulder. The arm's really small, and then the fingers are the entire wing. But on bats, the arm is like the top of the wing, and then the fingers are the supports in between, and that's carried over here. Whether that was a point you made or a thing that Astrid did and carried over from real life bats, I don't know. But yeah, I like that attention to detail.
Yeah, I will say most of the attention to detail is Astrid's doing, because I don't like telling creative people what to do. So I was like, here's the broad outline, like its body should look like this animal, like the wings could look like this, but I tried to keep things vague and let Astrid, because like they are the artists, so let them make the decision. So most of the detail is their doing. Completely. Like, anyway, so we have the bat opossum, which is not final names. Like these are not final names. These are total placeholder names. As is evidenced by the next animal, which is called the slant eater, which is a hybrid between a sloth and an anteater. So for people not,
I only just figured that out at the start of this segment, that it was a sloth.
a foul tier.
Faultia.
So yeah, for those not looking at the pictures, it is a big furry white thing. Its body is like a sloth, but its face, it has a purple face, and it's shaped like an anteater's face.
It's a bit like Gonzo.
It looks a bit like Gonzo. It does. This is my favorite of the bunch. I think this animal just looks hella cute. So cute. And then Astrid's really great at having included like different poses and stuff. And also, I don't know, I didn't question them about this because I wanted to leave it open to my own interpretation. They've included different shapes of the animal here, which I'm not going to take as sketches and preamble to the main thing. I'm going to take as different subspecies.
Yeah.
Which I think is just really cool. I don't know if that's deliberate, but we have 2 subspecies of the slant eater here. Which I think is really cool. So yeah, there's that guy, and then there's a this is a trippy one. This is a bear crossed with a frog, crossed with a like sort of like what's the guy from the Mario series, the big dinosaur, Bowser. So this is a bear.
There's bear in there.
Yeah. So there's a bear in there. So if you look at the body underneath the shell, right, is meant to be bear-like. To be fair, the angle of the final version doesn't really show this. So the body is meant to be bear-like, and the shape of the head is meant to be bear-like, but it has frog-like features and frog legs.
Okay.
And then on top of it is this Bowser like plated armor sort of thing.
Yeah, and a club tail.
And a club tail. This borrows from armadillos as well. Again, because we're doing the whole Afro Brazilian vibe. So that's that guy. Again, I have very little to talk about in terms of like what these animals are like inside or what's the thing.
How big is a bearmadillo?
Now that's what I was going to say. How big do you think it should be?
I kind of thought of it as like maybe like the size of a dog, like a terrier kind of size.
Okay, all right.
Or like it's like the size of an armadillo or a pangolin or something.
I'm inclined to lean towards the fantastical sides of things and just have big, giant animals.
Bear size, then.
Like bear size. Yeah, I would say that this thing, like especially when you look at say the top right hand corner there, I would say that this thing is mountable. Like that big, like definitely. Now when I say this, I realize that this does not fit in with like steampunk or cyberpunk. So I think I just wanted to have a Avatar Last Airbender sort of moment here. But yeah, mountable and can be used as like transport, definitely. So that big.
Do the horns grow in regular patterns, or will it like vary from Bermudillo to Bermudillo, or it'll be like vary between breeds.
I would say vary. I would say vary, but not anything mad.
Okay.
In the same way that like zebra stripes are all unique, except you don't really see a freak zebra with one stripe.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so they'll be like totally different between different Bermudillos, but like within quite a narrow range.
Yeah, within quite now. It's
Okay.
such that you can kind of sort of make a sort of standard saddle for the yoke and mount it, and
Okay.
with a little bit of jiggering, it can be made work. It's not like you're going to find one that's just covered in spikes and just you can't mount it.
Yeah.
So that's the bear medillo. Then we have a sogalot, which
I
is
like this one.
I like this one too. This is a saber-toothed dog crossed with an ocelot. The saber tooth being, I also included extinct animals from South America because
Yeah.
there's saber tooth cats and saber tooth cats are hella cool. So again, this is, and also I had this idea of perhaps sharing traits of the animals, which I think is quite interesting. So I think this yoke will be kind of like that savannah cat. Have you ever seen that savannah cat?
I think so.
It's a cat. It's a domestic cat. It's bred from African cats, such that it's quite territorial and quite aggressive, and displays the sort of disposition of dogs.
Okay.
So it's a cat with the territorial nature of a dog, and I think this would be the same thing. This thing would be very feline-like, but will have the sort of the disposition and the territorial nature of a canine. So yeah, there you go. And the same thing, the same design thing goes on here. It's purple. Purple is incorporated in some way, subtly throughout, just because to tie everything in. But yeah. So anyway, we got the Sogalot, and then we've two more. We've the Zen monkey, which is, so this is like a hyper monkey. I went and looked through literally so many monkeys. Like, you've no idea how many monkeys are listed under Brazilian monkeys on Wikipedia. I looked at a lot of monkeys and kind of just took the features that I really liked from various different types and combined them into one hyper monkey. What came out immediately from this is a sort of, sense of like this wise old sage of the forest sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Kind of like Rafiki from The Lion King. And I really like the look of this guy. I really like it. In stark contrast to the other ape that we came up with, which is No Ape. And No Ape I want to explore further because I think this is the highlight of the bunch. This is another monkey, more gorilla-like. And this is inspired again by the monkeys of the Amazon, but also by No Face from Spirited Away.
Okay.
And I wanted to create a sort of animal that looks very human, that people could like mistake as being a human wandering rainforests. And then the idea of kind of it wears a human shaped mask, like not a literal mask, but its skin is shaped in the shape of a human, so it's doubly mistakable. And Astrid was amazing here because I just thought that you just put like a no face mask on it, but what they've done here, which is cool, they've like built it around its natural face. If you see that, like it's got its own mouth and it's got its own three eyes, but beneath that there is a human, like an oddly like sterile, blank looking human face. And it actually took me like a day or two to realize that was there. I was like, oh, that's a really nice picture. That's a really nice human thing. And I was like, oh no, wait, there's two faces going on here, which is, I think is great. And I think there's a lot of scope for lore here, like as in the mythology around this. Like it could be, I don't know, your lost ancestors become the No Ape and they wander the forest. And there's like, you could build up a whole load of mythology around this, and I think there's the best of the bunch. I think there's a lot of scope here.
I really like this one. I didn't make the No Face connection, like as in the Spirited Away No Face. What I assumed was that it was a no theater mask.
I don't know what that means.
Well, maybe this is where No Face is designed from. But there's a kind of okay, look, I'm probably going to misrepresent this, but bear with me. There's some kind of Japanese theater called No theater, NOH,
Okay.
and performers wear masks in it.
Oh.
Yeah, they wear like kind of lacquered wooden masks. You know Joey Jordison?
Slipknot.
Yeah, you remember the mask he used to wear for Slipknot?
Yeah.
That's I think meant to be derived from or inspired by No theater mask. So it's this kind of, in his case, it was kind of expressionless and had like a.
These things, Bill. I'm looking at them. They are creepy. Like they are. Like this is uncanny.
Wait, hold on. Are you googling
Yeah, I'm googling no theater.
while recording?
Oh, Bill, don't you?
You never do that though. It's
Yeah,
me who does that.
I have two computers now, so I can do this without disturbing the recording. They are uncanny valley territory. Like they
yeah,
are
they're good, aren't they?
They are human, but not quite. It's disturbing. Yeah. So yeah, maybe that's where the Spirited Away character gets it from. Could well be, and then I've inadvertently taken it from there as well.
Yeah.
But I like this idea, and
yeah, and I like the inclusion of the skull drawing. You know, it's done on one or two others as well, but the skull drawing here really kind of helps show what's happening with the no ape.
Yeah. So what Astrid has done, like Bill said, has included some anatomical drawings. Again, I didn't say any of this. I was kind of like, here's a list of design inspiration. Like, here's the pictures. Go off and draw something inspired by it, and like they went above and beyond. Like totally did. So, and yeah, you're right, especially with like the placement of the faux face, you can see exactly how it fits into the real face and how it works. And I like this idea, like when the monkey is, or the ape is looking directly forward, we can't see the human face. But then if it like, especially if its head is very flexible, if it tilts like 90 degrees downwards, it looks like an entirely different creature. Which I think is really interesting. And I imagine quite horrifying. You imagine if you're like stuck in a rainforest or stuck out in the wild and you see this like big, massive, lumbering, intimidating monkey ape creature coming at you, and you're like, that's how it looks, and then it changes suddenly, and that would scare the living daylights out of you. Like,
there is actually, I don't know if this is a common thing, but I remember seeing a dancer that wore a mask on the top of their face. So it was kind of like this. They had like their actual face covered.
Right.
And they had a mask on, like a wooden mask or something on like the crown, and they did a lot of dancing with their head face like pointing down so that the audience would see this mask they had on.
Cool. I like.
That was really cool.
Yeah. Definitely. And I think that's something definitely going on here. I think, anyways, judging from these anatomical drawings. So I like it. No Ape is by far my favorite of the collection. But they're all amazing. They're all so good. And I have loads of ideas for, like, how far did I go? Hold on, no, let me call up my bookmarks here. I didn't burden Astrid with too much, but I did a lot of thinking about this. I have a guinea pig one, a porcupine one, a deer one, rat, whale, rabbit, turtle, a crocodile, an iguana / dragon / dinosaur, snake, snail, a slug / star-nosed mole, a sea snail, a spider, and 2 spiders.
A slug star-nosed slug mole. Oh my god, that sounds revolting.
Can you see it though? Can you see it? Like
that sounds so revolting.
I know, but it's great.
Oh.
So again, I really the hardcore world builder me is kind of like, this isn't real world building. Like, real world building would be like figuring out how these animals work exactly. And the context around them. But I unashamedly just had a really fun month of just putting together animals I thought I liked together, and I'm not even going to apologize for that. It's great.
Nor should you.
Nor should I. But yeah, so there's my animals. Check them out in the sub and in the show notes, and let me know what you thought.
Yeah, definitely. These are great, man. It's like, I'm really enjoying these.
They're really fun. They're really, really fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is the cutest?
Which is the cutest? Slant Eater.
Yeah, I think the slant eater.
Slant Eater.
Like a bit of me obviously wants to go for the one that has a dog element because I love dogs, but the drawing, like the uncolored drawing to the right of the slant eater is just very adorable.
Really, I like the colored one. The colored one gets me. I like yeah. But yeah, they all look like they're kind of sort of the same world, which is kind of good.
Yeah.
Which is nice and testament again to the artist. So that's all for this month, I think. I don't have any particular topics lined up for us to world build next month.
Okay.
So, what I think, what would be great if people could leave suggestions in the subreddit. What would you like
Sure.
to see both of us do next month? Because
And we can do the same thing and compare it, or we can do different things like we did this week.
Yeah,
This episode.
Ideally, what will happen is we'll get a whole bunch of suggestions, and me and you will just pick what will be the greatest way of applying them. So let us know in the subreddit, or on email, or on the YouTube channel, wherever you find us. Let us know, and we will do something hopefully interesting for next month.
Sounds good.
Okay, should we go into the green room now, Bill?
Let's. I decided that I finished the Duolingo Irish course, and I was pretty happy with what I'd learned from that. Some of the grammar stuff didn't fully stick, but I keep going back to it and refreshing it. But I decided that it wasn't enough, and that I need to actually be using it.
Yes.
So I'm taking an Irish course, an evening course.
Congratulations
on Tuesday nights.
On two fronts. Congratulations on finishing Duolingo, and congratulations on wanting to pursue it further. I think that's really cool. How you find the Irish course?
Really good, actually. Really good. So there's this group that are running them in various places around the country. They run them quite often, and they've got a really good website that has resources for learning Irish on it. And anyway, a friend told me that this was happening, and I looked it up, and the places they're running them are Dublin, obviously enough. They're an organisation based in Dublin, big city. Cork, another big city. And Carlow. Those are the three locations that they're running them in.
Oh.
And Carlow's not a big city. Carlow's like 20,000 people.
Is that all? Wow, it's very small. Huh.
Yeah, like even by like Irish standards, it's not all that big.
Yeah, not at all.
But they're running them here, so that's great. I signed up. I did a test on their website, and it told me to do the lower intermediate, and so I went along, and the lower intermediate was grand, and I actually tried the higher one the week after, and I've been able for the higher intermediate since. So I'm working away at that.
Cool.
And yeah, it's going well. I'm enjoying it.
Is this like a classroom environment, or is this more of a like everyone sits around and tries to talk Irish at one another?
It's kind of in between. Like we sit at a big long table, because that's the kind of table that's in the room, and we like we work
pints
in pairs.
of mead.
Yes, and our hunting hounds by our feet and planning the next raid.
Exactly.
We work in pairs, and it's mostly done through Irish. We talk as much Irish as possible. Sometimes I have to go into English when I'm asking a very specific grammar question.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I've been kind of getting by, and that website that I mentioned earlier actually has a series of videos on Irish in Irish, and the first video gives you a load of Irish terms for grammatical concepts. So like how to say pronoun and verb and stuff in Irish, which is quite useful.
Okay, yeah, definitely, yeah. Especially when it comes to adult learners who will want to find out this advanced information.
Yeah.
Obviously not so useful for little kids. No little kids gonna be like, what pronoun do I use here? You know what I mean? But adults, yeah, definitely. Cool. That's really cool.
I've been speaking it socially as well. Like I've a good few of my friends like went to the Irish schools, or I know someone who like teaches in the Irish school, in town. So I've been practicing it socially quite a lot.
What's your opinion on Irish and like it being taught Okay, so for non-Irish listeners in school here, Irish is mandatory.
Yeah.
From the earliest age, right up until you leave high school.
Yeah.
So it's like you got like 14 years of Irish. Like
Now,
his
you get exempted if you've got like special educational needs,
yeah.
or if you arrive in the country older than the age of like 8 or 9 or something.
Yeah. We don't force our sense of nationalism on others, which is good.
Yeah.
I think. But yeah, so there's a constant debate in Ireland about whether or not it's right to force people to learn the language, or whether or not to make it optional, and whether or not it's done correctly in schools and all this sort of thing. How do you fall on this? Like,
My personal ideal solution would be that it would be mandatory and taught a lot better. That it would be a better syllabus and a better course.
okay, and so mandatory because you don't think an optional system would work, as in not enough people would take it up.
I suspect so. Yeah, I think it would be to the detriment of the language. Now, maybe it would be less to the detriment of the current system. Or maybe it would be less to the detriment of the language than the current system, which is mandatory and not taught well and turns people off it. Maybe if people had the option and it was taught well, people would take it. I don't know.
Yeah,
that would kind of be my ideal system.
I lean towards optional. Always in nearly everything, because I think the minute you make things mandatory, a bit of resentment sets in. Yeah. And you're like, I have to do this. I don't want to do this. I have to do this. Whereas people will choose it, and the people who do choose it will be more passionate about the thing, and they'll be more inclined to keep it up. And so I always lean on the optional side of things, even though it's scary because it's like maybe we're losing a language here if we do that.
Yeah.
Which is not great. What's your opinion on the Gaeltacht?
What do you mean?
And before you answer this, let me just clarify all this. So for the non-Irish listeners, we have this thing called the Gaeltacht, and it's where kind of school-aged people go off to regions of the country during the summer, where they are taught Irish in like a native sort of environment.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, like the Gaeltacht is the area where it is natively spoken, and then they tend to run summer camps where children go to practice the language. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So what I want to know your opinions on that. The concept of ideas like the idea of children during the summer going off to the Gaeltacht, staying there, learning the language, going home, all that sort of jazz. Like pro, against.
I have no strong feelings on it. I have never really thought much about it. I did it twice, I think.
Okay, so I didn't do it. I never went to Gaeltacht. But I've always thought that it's a little bit weird. Like,
okay,
it's a little bit sort of like scoutsy in the sense of like that, it's sort of militarized scout behavior. It's like a little bit like, it always struck me as being like slight indoctrination. I realize it probably isn't at all, but it's kind of like, to be Irish, one must go to like the Irish areas and learn Irish, and no English is allowed at all because we're in Ireland and Ireland's about Irish, and it's all kind of like it plays in this idea of the mandatory nature of it for me.
Yeah.
So I think my opinion is fairly unpopular because I think most people think the Gaeltacht is a really good, positive thing, whereas I find it really creepy. Just really creepy and really nationalistic and like patriotic in a way.
I think some of them are more nationalistic than others, and some of them are more flexible about English than others. Like some of them, like if you say any English word, you'll be in trouble.
Yeah,
but
and
others would be like, oh well, if you don't know the word for crow, then you can just say crow, and I'll tell you what the Irish word is.
Yeah, and again, for the listeners, there are places where if you go to this, and like Bill said, if you say any English, you'd be like sent packing home for the summer, and you're not allowed to stay there if you say any English, which again, that's really creepy. It's really, really creepy.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't bother me much because it is an entirely optional one, and you can just not go if it's weird.
Well,
and because I did a lot of summer courses as a teenager anyway. Like I went to German college for 3 weeks one year, and I did course like I did Actually, I did Russian and Chinese courses, and I did like a couple of other topics in various summer camps that I did. So,
There you go. Oh, I didn't know
yeah,
that.
you didn't know that? Yeah,
No,
Russian and Chinese.
but were the Russian and Chinese ones were like, you are now in an analog of China. You must be act Chinese at all times.
No, just we had the classes on the language, and then we did other stuff for the rest of the day, and we like obviously because there were other people doing other courses at the same time in the same location.
You see, that is what I would consider a normal summer course to be.
Yeah.
Whereas the Gaeltacht just strikes me as just being really, like I said, really strange. And I don't know if it's entirely productive to. Maybe it is productive to keeping the language going, but like for people like me, just like the concept put me off as a kid going. Just completely put me off. Like I was kind of like, no, I'm my own person. I don't want to be shipped off to a certain area of the country and then being told by some person who has like this over the top love of the language that I can't speak English when I want to. And it's like, no, that's not right. Like I like learning and stuff, so I'll learn on my own in my own way. And I don't know.
Ever the anti-authoritarian, Edgar.
Yeah, Edgar the anti-authoritarian. I wonder, does the likes of the Gaeltacht happen in other countries? Like, if in other countries where English has taken over and is destroying the native language, is there a culture whereby they send kids off to specialized areas for a period of time to learn it? I wonder.
I don't know.
That's an interesting question.
I think the language is quite healthy in Wales. I don't know whether they have like kind of immersion courses for children the same way. I don't think they do in Scotland.
Immersion courses. That's a better term for it.
And where else is it happening? I mean, where else is Anglophone but has minority languages?
Yeah, but not even English. Couldn't the same thing happen with, like, let's take the Italy example from before. Like, Italian has become all pervasive, and those little smaller remnants of the continuum are dying out. Do people go?
I don't think they are dying out. I think they're healthy, and I think they're very healthy in Italy.
So they're just healthy but small.
Yeah, like they're localized. Like people in Genoa speak Genoan, and people in Friuli speak Friuliani, and people in Sicily speak the Sicilian, whatever the one there is called. But they speak it at home, and it's active at home, and they're all able to, or most of them are able to actually speak standard Italian, or whatever the correct kind of way of expressing that
Italian.
is. Hoch Italian, yeah. I meant to say this to you ages ago, right?
Okay.
This is a cool language thing. Or maybe I did say it to you. Apologies if I did, and you can cut all this out.
There'll be a lot of cutting from this episode, man.
I've a very good friend who's a TEFL teacher. So English is a foreign language.
Right.
Or second language, or ESOL, or however you want to name that concept.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've had a lot of real good conversations with her about language and about language learning and stuff. And she's taught all over the world. But she was telling me she knows people who are illiterate in their first language.
But
their first language, the language they natively speak, that they speak at home, no idea how to write it, but they're completely literate in, say, English, which is like their second language. And this is the thing that seems to happen with immigrant communities. So I think the example she had was speakers of Urdu in England, that they speak Urdu at home, and that's like what they natively think in. That's what they talk about with their family. But because all of their schooling is done through English, they're also fluent in English as their second language. But they just never, and they write in English, and that's the only language they're literate in, and they never learn to. Isn't that really interesting?
That's really interesting. Like, it's kind of obvious how that arises, but that's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah.
Huh. I have right. Seeing as this podcast is going on for about 4 hours, we may as well just keep going. Have you, on the subject of illiteracy,
right?
Have you heard the accusation, I suppose, that Trump is illiterate?
I have not.
Okay, so I need your thoughts on this as well. I'll run the scenario by you. So there is a vlogger, I suppose, of some note. I mean, this person had several hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I can't remember who they are, but like, but in any case, they put forward this case that Trump is illiterate based on what he has said and done, and how he displays all the body language and reactions of an illiterate person who is faced with a literacy test, like as in read this thing.
Okay.
And yeah, he
the
talks
deflection
about, like,
and
you what?
like deflection and boasting and
Yeah, deflection and boasting and stuff like they will very often pretend to read, but you can see in the body language that there is no comprehension going on, and then immediately after having purportedly finished the paragraph or whatever they had to read, they will do what you said, they will deflect or whatever.
yeah.
So I gotta say, this guy made a strong case for Trump being illiterate, and like they showed various courtroom things where he has to give testimony because he's constantly in court for suing people or whatever, where he has like repeatedly said, "Oh, I didn't read that contract," or "I never read that form," and stuff where you're kind of like, man, those things you should really read. And it just seems really strange that he didn't. In any case, that is fine as a theory to put out there as a hypothesis. But then there was a real weird bent that the man took to it. He was kind of like, because Trump is illiterate, he is unfit to govern. Right? And the guy tied in this idea that illiterate people are less equipped to deal with life in a way, like business life and like managerial life and all this, because apparently literacy comes into play with lots of other things, like decision making is based on like, can be based on how literate you are, and things like that. And it was really weird watching it, because I think the man is unfit to govern, but I think leveling criticism that illiterate people are unfit to hold an office like that, I think that's wrong. And
that's really ableist.
It's really ableist, yeah. Like, I'd imagine if you are illiterate, there would be certain things that you would find really difficult to do. But then, if you are openly illiterate, you can just like delegate and subdelegate, tasks that you yourself can't perform. But I think saying that someone is inherently incapable of a thing because of illiteracy was really offensive. And then the usual comment section below YouTube was all kind of like, yeah, man, Trump's illiterate, like, go assassinate him and all this stuff. And you're like, why? This is just so cancerous. Like, it's just, and I dislike Trump. I really dislike Trump, but I think it's really mean saying.
There's lots of valid criticisms that aren't that aren't as ableist.
Like, yeah, if
and maybe there's the guts of a thing there, that if you're that wealthy and that privileged in the modern West, that not being able to read might be something that we should be concerned about when you're in that kind of power. But maybe there's a more subtle way to express that.
Yeah, maybe. But again, my point still stands from earlier. It's like, okay, maybe you yourself can't read all the documents, but you're meant to have a cabinet of trusted people around you.
Yeah.
And you can be, a person could be illiterate, but could be really good at people management, say.
Yeah.
And that could be their primary skill. So especially considering a president should be a diplomat.
Yeah. Like, it's a measure of one very specific ability.
Bingo.
One very specific, super important ability.
Yeah, but it is only one.
Yeah.
It is only one. So I don't know. I'm usually not one to get all up in arms about these things, but it was weird because I found myself like sympathizing with Trump and being like, if tomorrow Trump, you came out and said you were illiterate, I wouldn't be on team attack Trump because of his illiteracy. I'd be on, team attack Trump because of his misogyny and sexism and racism and what's called bromance with Putin and all of this sort of thing. But that's, I don't know, just TLDR internet. Don't tell illiterate people that they're lesser. Like,
it raises worrying questions, surely, but yeah,
it's just like, and I think there's a high proportion of illiteracy around where I grew up.
Really?
Yeah, like Dad used to make me aware of these things. Like, he would do houses for people, and he would say, "You have to sign this thing. Can you read it?" And he used to always be like, it's strange, Edgar, like how many times you just know that this person is not taking in any information from the stuff I'm putting in front of them. And very often he had to resort to actually dictating what's on the thing to the person.
Jesus.
Yeah. Now this is an older generation sort of thing. Like obviously the younger generation are as literate, I think, as is possible in the Western world. You know, they have the same literacy levels. But yeah, like so I know of these people, and I would never be like, you are a lesser person because you're illiterate. Like some of these people are way more skilled than I am in certain areas, and I'm better in certain areas than them. And it's just like humans, man, we're different. It just drove me nuts.
It must be really scary. Well, maybe that's a bit patronizing or whatever, but it seems like the kind of thing that could be really scary to be surrounded by all this information that you're unable to engage with. Like imagine like you woke up tomorrow and everything was written in Mongolian script.
Yeah.
Like, and everyone else understood it.
Yeah, and then you're also probably not going to want to say that you don't understand it.
Yeah.
So there's like that secret life, and where you're, like we say, where you're constantly dodging things. Like that must be terrible. Like.
Yeah, and like like imagine like how much information is in a book, like in a small little object like a book, like how much there could be held in that.
Yeah,
there's kind of an awesomeness to that. But then like even in that case, you're still able to read English and Latin script, but like to have no in at all into the the concept of this being a transcription of speech is just
And then I'm sure there's other worries, like for example the teaching children how to read. Like if I can't read, how am I going to teach my kid to read?
Yeah, there's the practical thing. Yeah,
which
absolutely.
is here. Okay, look, again, we're just going to keep going. We'll make this a record length podcast. The teaching kids to read, right?
Right.
Opinion on this: whose job is that? The parent or the school?
Dunno.
Huh? Not something you ever thought about?
Not really. I mean, I know that I could read when I went to school.
Okay.
And
I'm assuming your parents took it upon themselves to at least open your world to books.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was able to write a little bit.
Okay. So you've never thought about this.
I have a very strong memory of like doing something in kind of like big bubble letters. And then being told, oh no, the teacher won't like that when you start in school in September, and that I had to write like with proper like lines.
Oh. Huh. But
I don't know. I mean, I haven't really thought enough about this as a topic of educational policy. It seems like the kind of thing that like you ought to do with your kids, I guess. But I mean, also that schools are there for this kind of reason to give education to people, and historically they wouldn't have. What?
I don't know if I agree with that, man. That's statement. That's true. Schools are there to do that. Like schools are like, this has been covered on another podcast, so I don't want to get into it too much. But schools are kind of there to just be like state funded childcare to free up a labor force. Do you know what I mean? Like they obviously do teach you skills as well, but it's not like there's a strong argument made that the primary function of schools is that freeing up the labor force. And it's not actually about teaching you, reading and writing and basic skills, yes, that is a thing that they teach you that will stick with you for the rest of your life. But in terms of nearly everything else they do, it's just literally they put up hurdles that you have to jump to get certain bits of paper and to finish. Like, there's nothing about actually making sure that the information that is conveyed in school sticks in your brain for the rest of your life.
That sounds plausible.
Highly. But the thing about the reading thing, right? Okay, just from my end is, for a person who doesn't want to have kids, I think an awful lot about how I should raise kids. And
yeah, I kind of the same. Like I kind of am no interest in having kids at all, but like I would occasionally think about, oh well, if I had kids, I'd do this like that.
Like how you would do it.
Incredibly arrogant for me to have those thoughts, but they come unbidden.
No, but you temper it with, like, obviously they are up for negotiation with a partner in the future. Like,
oh, well, I think it's more arrogant from the point of view of like I haven't a clue what I'm talking about.
Oh no, disagree. You're in the middle of formulating what it is you want to talk, but you're doing the prep work now. That's not arrogant. Like, it is necessary to think about it before you have to, like, do it.
Oh, okay, well, I suppose.
Yeah, no, totally. I wouldn't say that was arrogant at all. Like, I mean, like, if you walk up to a parent of 10 kids and tell them how to parent, maybe that's arrogant. But there's nothing
Yeah.
arrogant with sitting around and thinking about it. Anyhow, point being, I was talking to someone in the educational sector, and they were saying that there is a disturbing amount of parents who subdelegate all of this teaching literacy to schools.
Mm.
And I can't remember, they rattled off percentages, and I was disgusted because I'm of the opinion that you like it's a parent's job to teach a kid. But like, and
Yeah.
what blew my mind is that some parents are literally like, no, that's not my job. My job is not to teach kids. My job is to have kids and keep them fed and alive, and then it's the school's job to raise them. And it goes even further that some parents are like, it's not my job to train my children. That's the job of a creche. Like a creche toilet trains, for example. I just keep them alive.
Nasty.
Yeah, no, yeah. Talking to this person worked in social care as well, and this person was like, "Yeah, I've had parents come up to me, they've handed me nappies and went, there's do your job," and it's
That's nasty.
But never mind from the nasty side. It's just like, I can't believe people are hardwired like that. Like, if I had a kid, it would be so incumbent upon me to give them the tools for life before they actually need it. You know, give them.
You wouldn't want them to be going out and showing you up, like make to really hibernize the hell out of this, to make a holy show of you in front of everyone else. You didn't even teach your own kids how to go to the toilet.
It is absolutely not that at all. I couldn't care what others would think of my kids. It's purely just like, if I teach them how to talk, read, write, use the toilet well before they need to, they're just better equipped to take on the next task.
Yeah.
You know, like, they have a free room in their brain to get the next thing ahead of when it's needed.
Yeah.
And I know this is turning into a massive rant, but it blew my mind that people were like that. It's like, I don't teach my kids to read. What? How is that?
Did you come across this when you were teaching music? Like, a lot of kids like don't know nursery rhymes and stuff.
No.
I had that a lot. Like, kids like not actually know Yankee Doodle.
Really?
Or not really know, like, only kind of know Mary Had a Little Lamb. Yeah, I've had that a bit recently.
Only kind of know Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Yeah.
Wow. Is this leading on from our discussion, as in, like, you think it's parental neglect?
I don't know. I don't know what the cause of it is, but it's kind of weird. Like, I think that would be like part of the oral culture, and part of the culture that we look. I would have assumed is naturally passed on to children, but seemingly not.
Yeah, that's worrying. Like, I realize there's nothing in a nursery rhyme, and like, we've lost all sense of what these things mean in a practical sense. But it's worrying from a passing on of information from generation to generation. Like, this is, I don't know. It's very troubling. I don't like it.
And also, on the topic of nursery rhymes,
yes,
it never says Humpty Dumpty's an egg.
Together again. Yeah, it never does.
Nowhere in that poem or in that nursery rhyme does it say he's an egg.
Why has he been made into an egg?
Why indeed?
Why?
Illuminati.
Why is Humpty Dumpty?
Oh man, you're going all out on the Googling.
Yeah, I know. Now that I can do it.
Mad for a bit of Google.
Okay. So they're saying that, Humpty Dumpty is an 18th century reduplicative slang for a short or clumsy person, right? And the riddle may depend upon the assumption that a clumsy person falling off a wall might not be irreparably damaged, whereas an egg would be. So someone was like, "Oh, in order for this to have real oomph, we need to make Humpty a thing that is both short and clumsy, I guess, but that when it falls down and breaks, it's broken, and there's no putting it back together."
That's a bit of a stretch. I wonder if that's where numpty comes from. Is
numpty.
It like You never hear that insult?
I did. I love that word. Numpty.
Yeah, it's good.
It's Scottish. That's all I can tell you.
Okay. Fair enough.
Anyhow, all right, okay. So we are 40 seconds away from a 3 hour long raw recording.
Oh Jesus!
I'm gonna have. I know what's really interesting. Next week,
I'm a minute away now.
you're a minute. Oh yeah, we record different tapes at different times.
Yeah.
I have my busiest week of literally the entire year next week. And I have a 3 hour record to do it, but it'll be great crack.
So it'll come out when it comes out.
All right, Bill. So after all of that, let's wrap it up, shall we?
After that marathon session.
After that marathon session. Okay, I will see you next month. Yeah?
See you next month.
Excellent. All right. Edgar out.
Edgar out.